Woman goes into a dry cleaners and she says to the lady behind the counter, "Excuse me, I've got this stain on my dress." And the woman behind the counter is as deaf as a post. She says, "Come again?" He says, "No, it's mayonnaise." Good evening and welcome to another show. And the smart has begun. And by the way, do you like the Ponzi background? It's nice, isn't it? It's green screen.
Ponzi, yeah.
And we've got Nathan, Lucius, Gamekeeper, Shill, and it should be Reptile on there.
Reptile, yeah, it's not
Yes.
on there.
And Eric von I.B.B.G.A. And you're thinking, what the bloody hell's I.B.B.G.A stand for? So there we go. But you see, that gag at the beginning, it was going to be a Monica Lewinsky one. But I thought, I don't like mentioning names of people who are still alive because it could,
just done it.
you know. Yeah. So, oh, bloody hell, I still don't know, haven't I? So, anyway, I might play the Monica Lewinsky version later. If there's enough interest, we'll put it to a vote. That's right. And also, we've got a competition coming up in the next show, in which there's going to be a giveaway. Yes, it will be an actual dustbin full of manure delivered through your letterbox free of charge. No, I'm only joking.
But they have to pay postage.
Postage and packet, yes, that's right, yes. And it's £5 to enter in the competition. And the winner,
all right,
that's not bad, is it? Right, let's have a look who's in. Oh, blimey, we've got a lot in chat tonight. And hang on. Aunt Sally said, "I didn't hear any gag. It came on straight to you laughing, Chris."
Oh.
So that means we'll play it again. Right. Now, first of all, this is 5 minutes past 6. It's Sue Seasider gets the win. Who's the winner? Gets the brownie points. The winner this week, the first on the show, and you can have Sue free, all expenses paid because it doesn't cost anything. A free raspberry and 2-finger salute to anybody you wish. Okay, so anybody you want, we'll give a to. So there we go. So think carefully, you know. And so 2-finger salute. You can ask advice from other people in chat if you want. You know, we can have a poll on it. You know, and then we've got Andy Bittler. Fuck them all. Then we got Stephen Trueseeker. Hello. And Aunt Sally, evening Aunt Sally, and we've got Chris. Good evening, gents. Hello to all in chat. That's very kind. So shall I do the Monica Lewinsky version of that intro game?
Well, you might as well spoil them. I mean, you know.
Why not? I might as well rub it in. So here it goes. Right. Monica Lewinsky goes into a dry cleaners, and she said to the woman that works there, "Excuse me, madam, I've got a stain on my dress." And the woman that worked there is as deaf as a post. So she says, "Come again?" And Monica Lewinsky says, "No, it's mayonnaise, actually." Sorry.
Yeah, we need to the fuck 'em all hub, if you know what I mean.
Sorry, that gives me the giggles, that one does. I don't know why. Some gags just hit my funny bone, you know. Oh, by the way, oh, Patrick, Fort Bobs for her. Yeah, that's right. Yes, Fort Bobs. Now we got here. Who should it be? So many. I would like to receive a raspberry to. Laugh out loud. Aunt Sally says meh. Meh. Ke. Si ke. So really, anybody? Well, we could got some suggestions. We could have our dear gracious leader, or I.B.B.G.A. So, any guesses what I.B.B.G.A stands for, please? And the winner of that also gets a 2-finger salute of a person of their choice.
Oh, that's shocking.
What's that?
Oh,
an expression of what I thought of your joke. Nah. Ooh.
I'm offended on your behalf.
Yes. Oh, well, never mind. Can't please everyone. Hi, everyone. Nice Lewinsky joke. So there we go. DJ Vito. Saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
There you go.
actually,
It's family mode.
the dry cleaner was actually in Staines. So there we go. Now it's got here. Is there a big enough raspberry for Keith Stamper? Who's Keith Stamper?
I think. I
Anybody?
think. Yeah. Old Stalin.
Ah, Keir Starmer. Got it. Well, yes. So here we are to Keir Starmer, the farmer harmer. Area. And he might enjoy that. And the American version.
Outside for that
There
one.
we are. Yes, that's it.
Moo.
And was it the anti-cow fart man? He's going to make it compulsory that all cows have got to have anti-fart stuff, isn't he?
Yeah. Shall we deal with that because it's a biggie, that one actually.
Yes. Well, especially if
So
they fart, it is a biggie, isn't it? Really, because show
oh.
me a home where the buffalo roam, and I'll show you a house full of cow dung. So there we go. So,
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right? So if cows are contributing to that much harm to the environment and the climate, which they're not, I don't care what they say about that on the censors and all the normies because
yeah.
it's completely transparently untrue. How the hell have we managed to survive so many millions of years with so many different animal species, especially if we're told that dinosaurs exist, and that's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But if all of these large animals have existed for millions of years, um, why are we still here? Because I mean, surely all those farts in the atmosphere should have given us, super toxic, breathing chemicals. It's ridiculous. I mean, what happened to photosynthesis? Where's all the scientists who
Yeah.
know how this stuff works and are just kind of, letting it go past them? They're not saying anything about it. Where's their integrity?
Well, what about in North America, where they had herds and herds and herds of buffalo? When the Native American Indians were there, you think of the farts they gave out? I mean, that's why
Yeah,
the Indians were sort of, what does that smell? Poor bloody buffalo fart again. I mean, did it cause climate change then? I mean, because they
yeah,
reckon
clearly,
that
yeah.
was it the CO2 levels were higher then than they are now. So
Yeah. Well, there's the other thing. I mean, I brought up, photosynthesis. I mean, what part of the scientific community seems to be forgetting about the whole oxygen carbon cycle there? I mean, the animals, they breathe out carbon and the plants breathe it in, and then it's reciprocal. They breathe out the oxygen, we breathe it in. So it's kind of like this whole net zero thing. It couldn't be in a more obvious way of saying we want you gone, we want you dead. And so net zero, isn't that saying extinction? Doesn't that suggest it's extinction?
I agree with you, and I think DJ Beto has actually hit the nail on the head.
Mm.
Billy Boy is just feeding the cows feed. Something beginning with C, which is
A crab
yes,
crab feed.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I think you're right. Which then transfers onto us, doesn't it? So we better start eating insects, which are safer. Because do you remember that with the red meat, where they said, "Don't eat red meat." Whoa, bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit because our ancestors were eating,
Yeah.
red meat. Well, net zero is Millie Bland's IQ scar. That's Jojo Gizmo. Yes, well, Millie, that's spot on. Yeah. But you think about it. There used to be a lot more horses. This is another thing they've looked at. You see, before the invention of the internal combustion engine, we had horses riding around. People rode horses. So what about the horse farts? Didn't that cause of global warming?
Well, apparently it's just the cow farts. I mean, those poor animals that have been here probably in one form or another longer than humans. They're just toxic, mate. You shouldn't eat them. I mean, they're
Yeah.
clearly toxic for our diet. They're clearly toxic for our air. Do you know what is toxic for our air? It's carbon dioxide. 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 It's carbon big white lines streaking across the sky constantly and then raining down onto us with foreign man-made synthesized chemicals that
Aluminium.
are you know, that could be construed as let's say climate alteration, right? That
Hmm.
seems to be dangerous. Or what about a political class that's actively trying to murder the shite out of the population that is seemingly just taking it? I mean, you know,
Yeah,
I will go into rant mode later because I think we need to discuss a few of these things and see if we
I
can
agree
get
with
a
you.
few
I
asses
agree
kicked
with
here
you.
because
Mm.
you know it's gone beyond the joke now. We are now in communism 101. We're seeing it unfold before our very eyes, and it is alarming. And I'm not, you know, I'm not even ashamed to say that I'm afraid of what comes next. I know what comes next because I'm familiar with history. I think you are, and you know,
Yeah.
if people will just stand back and take all this crap and the lies and the propaganda, people, you got a storm coming. You got to do
Well,
something, and I mean literally, start doing something, contribute.
I agree with you, but do what you feel you're talented at. Do what you feel you're comfortable
Yeah,
with. Now, I'm
yeah,
not the type of person to walk around with a placard and things like that. No,
fair
but
point.
I hopefully, it's up to other people. I want to make people laugh because I think that laughter is the greatest weapon we've got. We can laugh at them. But Aunt Sally's come up with a good one. The
Okay,
ridiculousness of the cow fart narrative and the absence of anyone science calling it out demonstrates the corruption within our world. That and the fact that we're being openly mocked.
absolutely.
Sorry, mate, I
Yeah.
cut across you just then. But you was going to
No, no,
say.
no. That comment is absolutely bang on.
Excuse me, I put my heater on.
Um, you know, it's got to the point now, mate, where I'm losing my temper. I've run out of patience. You know, because I'm walking around and there's you know I keep getting told, oh, people are awakening. You know, they're definitely waking up. They're definitely starting to see it. They're definitely questioning it. Okay, okay, that's fine. We know there's a period where people have got to go through that, and it's horrible. But what about those who have known about this for the last 5, 10 years? What are they doing? You know, because what good is knowledge if you're not going to act on it? What good is knowledge if you're not going to put it to good use? And when people are not putting anything, they're just
Mm.
sitting back and saying, "Oh, Jesus will save us." Oh, don't worry, the white hats will save us. Or any other, you know,
Yeah.
insert here
Oh,
Messiah
spiritual
figure.
awakening. But to
Mm,
tell you something. I'm going to give you
yeah,
two statistics which are chilling. Okay. Number one, this isn't statistic. Did you know that the Russian Revolution was not started by Russians? It was actually started by outsiders, financed by Wall Street, and the Bolsheviks got in the former Soviet Union. Well, it wasn't the former Soviet Union when they got in, but they made it into the Soviet Union by less than 7% support of the population. Less than
that sounds
seven
familiar.
percent. 7%. Chairman Mao got in China with less than 5% of support from the nation. Think about
Yeah,
that carefully. Less than 5%.
and
You
look at
know,
the damage. Look at the damage that came from that. You know, I
excellent
mean,
response. The
I'm going to say at this point, provably so as well, and that's not me being what how you would say
no,
anti-Semolina. That's
yes, right.
provable, right? So
That is
that's
provable.
nothing to do with any kind of bias or discrimination.
Mm.
That's true. It's true and it's provable.
Well,
So yeah,
if anybody's, by the way, I'd like to thank people. I've had a number of people join the Telegram channel. Thank you very much to those people. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much.
don't
And of
forget to
course, the
build
more the
them.
merrier. Oh yes, yes, yes. Fot Bobs, of course. And there's,
Absolutely.
I think Patrick may have put it on. Patrick, mate, if you put it on there, our cheese man in America, and it's a Catholic priest talking about a man with a funny moustache years ago, and it's very, very interesting. How it hasn't been banned from YouTube, I do not know. I
Well, how
really
long's it
don't
been
know.
up? How long's it been up? I
Uh,
mean,
about 2 days. So I've recorded it just in case. But he talks about I've got a raised moustache, and so it's worth going on there. It was posted up. I think it's Patrick posted it. I don't know. Someone posted it, It's about a day or two old. So please go on to my channel, Telegram channel, and you'll see it there. Obviously, it wouldn't go on Facebook. I think it would last about 3 milliseconds on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, the social media channel that everyone's leaving
Yes,
because you can't say
yes,
anything.
that's right. It says Chairman Starmer, Stephen Truthseeker, said got him by 20%. I'd actually take the zero off. 2% myself. -2%. I actually think
Mm,
it's rigged. You know.
massively. Yeah.
That what is this? I have a pair of sunglasses. Show me where Semolina influences. Oh yes.
Is this like they live?
Yeah. Yes. Have you noticed though? Most of these politicians that have been fiddled into power, they've got
Mm.
this thing where they think they're a table. Have you noticed that? They think they're actually a bar table because they seem to want to put a beer mat on their head as soon as they get into
Mm.
power. It's weird, that isn't it?
Well,
Because Queen
isn't that
Victoria.
the same as taking funny oaths to foreign countries that may or may not be for
Yes,
our best interests? It's
that's right.
yeah,
Yes, it's funny that.
ones that seem to go around obliterating other companies without consequence. Maybe.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's right. And
Yeah.
uh, but mind you, I'm thinking of having a holiday in Syria. It's quite a nice place to go now. It's quite go with a bang, I think. Yes,
Bit warm this time of year.
yes, very warm, I would say.
Mm.
But it's a riot there. No, but quite honestly, I'm absolutely horrified what's happened there. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel it's going to be it's just going to be like the rest of the other countries. They're going to have now poverty. They're going to have terrible situation that they never had experienced before. Um,
I suspect our population may receive another increase as a result as well. Maybe.
yes, I got that feeling as well. Hmm.
Yeah. Funny that, isn't it?
Yes, yes. But somebody's tanks, a country we're not allowed to criticise, of course, was seen rolling along into that country, Syria. Isn't that strange, isn't it? Perhaps they're going on their holidays. You never know.
Just just a
Just talk
training
their tanks.
exercise.
That's
Yeah.
right. Where's the border? 40 miles over there. Oh, sorry.
Mm.
Sat navs, they're not good, are they?
And maybe they just couldn't
But
see past the rubble that they were driving through at the minute. It's
that's right. Yes, yes. But oh, well, it's unbelievable. Now this is interesting. DJB2 says Syria is going to split in 4 and will no longer exist in 6 months. Yeah.
I disagree with that, and the reason I disagree with that, I mean, it might go through that. To be fair, I'm not DJB2. That's not me being
Mm.
critical. It might do that before I think it goes to the
Yeah.
next stage, which is the Greater Blue Star Flag project. Good
Mm.
God, this is ridiculous, isn't it?
Mm.
Censorship. If anyone is questioning, do we live in a tyranny? Just look at the fact that we can't say things freely on a
Mm.
public platform. But anyway, yeah, the I think that's part of a greater project, if you know
Well,
what I mean. It's
thing is, I speak, and I think I can speak for yourself, Nathan. We're not against anybody. We like people of all
well, you
different
do. I hate
races.
everyone equally, but
Yeah, but no, but I show no malice against anybody. But what I do is against psychopaths and narcissists of those countries
mm,
who are stirring people up and who can hypnotise people into doing the most horrible things. That's the real
yeah.
fact of the matter. They hypnotise people. I
And how
believe
do
they
they
do.
do that though?
Well, this is the thing. I've actually seen this hypnosis, and you can have someone who's the nicest person you can ever wish to meet one day turns into a monster the next day when under the influence of a narcissist.
Mm.
And we was talking about leadership, weren't we? There was a chat in Telegram, wasn't it? We was talking about leadership,
Yeah, yeah.
and we so I mean, to me, a leader is a person that inspires creativity. So and
Positive
it's more
change.
modest, positive things. Whereas a
Yeah.
narcissist stifles creativity and rules by fear, and that becomes a cult.
Mhm.
So if it's a group of people, so you've got, I think the chat was on Steve's Telegram chat,
It could have been.
but
Could have been.
and the thing is, what we were saying is that we look to join our own tribe or group of people, but if a narcissist starts to run it, it then becomes a cult. It evolves very quickly into a cult, and you know you're in a cult when if someone steps out of line, everyone else turns against them and tries to make their life a misery on
Actually,
hearsay and
so
rumor.
I'm going to do a shameless plug here, right? So
Yeah.
this is my book. I cover cults, right? So while
Yes.
we're talking, right, I'll pull up the chapter on cults because I've got a segment that defines. I haven't got Steve here to do the funny adverts for me, but I can outline a cult,
But
and
it's a
I mean,
lovely
they're
mug,
everywhere.
by the way.
The glasses are
No,
coming next month. Yeah. So all right, keep talking while I'm
okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
flipping through. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, all right.
Silent. The silence was courtesy of what the bloody hell do I say next? And
Just me flitting through. I'm trying to
and,
find out the
I'm aware of the GI project,
that's the one.
and yes, yes. Of course, we're talking about American GIs, aren't we? And
Well, yeah, not quite,
yes,
not
a
quite.
person wants a piece of somewhere. This is
Erdogan, yeah,
DJB2.
He's the Turkish dude, isn't he?
The
So
what's it people want a piece of, yes, maybe want a piece. Yes, they all want a piece of this, a piece of that, and a piece of something else. Yeah. Yes. Uh,
it's almost like a land grab or something. It's
oh, it
you know,
is. Well, I think that. Oh, Sean Aina. Hello, Sean. I think it's. Um, shall we say? We're getting. How can I explain it? It's a land grab, but they in another part of the world, which has gone very quiet at the moment, between
hmm.
Russia and another country. They want us to fight it. They don't want to fight it themselves
Well,
to
why
get the
would they? I
land
mean,
for them. That's right. If we're stupid enough, you know.
yeah. It's yeah, I can't bloody fight my own book. How embarrassing! I've got a few things
Don't worry.
regarding cults. So
Mm.
if we look at cult leaders are generally locked into what's referred to as the dark triad, right, or the
Yeah.
Machiavellian personality. So what you always got a strong charismatic leader at the top of the pyramid. So it's somebody who is quite easy to okay telling lies, okay using deception to pull people in,
Mm.
okay. And what you'll find is these people will have a large charisma, a good circle of friends, and they can gather people towards them. And so what they're doing is they're preying on vulnerable people to join their cults. Okay, so when we're looking at people who join the cults, we're looking at people with unresolved securities and personal vulnerabilities, a need for dependency and support. Well, there's a lot of that going around now, especially in the truth movement, because people are now falling back on trying to find God and religion because they know how bad things are, and now they're looking for a comfort blanket to help them. Okay,
Hmm.
it's understandable. I'm not judging. Largely from so susceptible to hypnosis and mesmerization. So this is a biggie. So this has gone back to the mass mind control, and I'll tell you what's responsible for that, because we're all guilty of it. But it's not because we want to; it's because of these things here. It's these.
Hmm.
These are the new mind control devices. These are
I
the
agree
black
with you.
mirrors, and
Yeah, and
it's it's
they're
okay
hypnotic.
because it's people say, well, I don't use one, and even those people have now had to start using one because you can't get by without them. If you want a doctor's appointment, you need a phone. If you want a bank,
Mm.
you need a phone. If you want to log into your income or your tax purposes, whatever, you need a phone. You can't exactly carry a PC around with you,
Mm.
and it needs to be mobile. So now we've been coerced into carrying these bloody mind control devices around with us, and they've got instant access. I mean, we know that things like Google and Facebook and Pokemon Go. If anyone, I don't use it myself, I can't stand it, but
Hmm.
that game is a CIA op. That the
Is
whole
it?
game. Oh God, yeah, yeah. Since its inception, it was a CIA operation to basically get people's locations, thoughts, movements, actions, see where they were. All of this is linked, and we're giving them it for free. And of course, I'm not saying that somebody sat in a room taking notes. Obviously, this is going into an algorithm, and it's been collated against us, and it can predict what we're going to do next. But this does fall into cult mentality
Mm.
because they start defending it. People start adamantly fighting against this when you tell them just how easy it is to control people's thoughts and behaviors through a little black mirror that you carry around in your pocket or your arse cheek. It's all the women
Mm.
with these black mirrors probably giving themselves the big crab, if you know what I mean, in
Mm.
cervical, things like that.
Mm.
Um, going back to the cults, trauma bonding. That's a big one, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
uh, that's one we've got there.
Trauma bonding, that's interesting.
Hmm,
But I mean,
yeah,
we've both experienced sort of this situation
yeah,
in work and places like that.
yeah.
But Stephen Truthseeker's come up with something that's going to hit a raw point with both of us.
Okay.
My mother was a
Yeah,
covert narcissist. Yes, yeah,
just a bit.
yeah. That's a whole program all on its own.
I'll tell you what, Stephen, you got me fucking sitting. Sorry for the language. You got my sympathy
No,
for that because I think I
same here.
speak for both of us. We are familiar
Mm,
with that. And the
yeah.
damage, by the way, I mean, people don't understand the damage that that does to an individual, especially at a
Oh,
young age. If you don't have an external impact, an external what am I looking for here? Somebody to help you.
um, I
You
agree with you. You're on your
yeah.
own. Well,
So
actually, I believe. I mean, with me, it's my mother. I mean, my father was. He was my best mate. You know, we were good mates as well
yeah.
as father and son. But the thing is that I think my mother was possessed by something. I think something evil got
Mm.
into her.
Well, we,
And
we were discussing this earlier, and I
mm,
actually, I mean, I'm open to it. Really, I am.
mm,
I'd like to do more digging. I mean, what is it? If they are possessed, sorry to cut you off, by the way, but if they are
no, it's
possessed, what
okay.
is it exactly that's opened up to bring these entities into them? You know?
Well, I know with what happened with me, it was someone that married into the family. I think
Mm,
brought it in, and it infected my sister, and it
interesting.
infected my mother, and it tried to infect my father and myself. And this is why if somebody said to me, "What I'm most scared of, I'm terrified of evil entities." And I'm not nutty. I don't think I'm crackers because I've actually seen what it does to people, and I'm not religious either. But I do believe that they do have an effect on what's going on in life, you know. But Aunt Sally
Mm,
said, I absolutely believe they can predict what
yeah.
are going to do next. They control everything the people do, one way or another. Bottom line, though, is that we consent to it. I agree.
W- Can I comment on that one as well? Actually, do you know
Certainly.
what? These comments are great. Actually,
They're
I think
brilliant,
we
aren't
should
they?
we should really focus
Super.
on
This
all.
is, yeah.
It is. There's some massively good points being raised here, but for this one, yes, we do consent because we don't have a choice. So under natural law, in order for you to give your consent freely to something,
Mm,
you must be fully informed and you mustn't be coerced in any way, shape, or form, right? So that's how they consider consent under natural law. Okay, so yeah, we're using these black mirrors and technology and software, and we're buying all these products, and so they say, well, you've bought it, so you consent to it. But I would argue that actually we don't, because number one, who the hell actually reads all the small print? Really, because
mm,
I don't, because I know that it's a con from start to finish, and we all have to click it. If you're using a software program, if you don't click that button, you don't get to use the software that you just purchased, right? So shouldn't
mm,
it be a case of, if you're going to buy anything, that the small print should be read out to you, everybody, before they buy the
mm.
product, and they absolutely have to agree with all the terms and conditions? Because the thing is, what would happen then is people would say, well, I'm not doing that, so they'd have to change them. So as much as we do give our consent, it's not really fully informed consent. It's been coerced out of us. We're forced to accept it.
I agree.
So yeah,
And also, we're all susceptible, you and
yeah,
I, everybody,
yeah,
to hive mind.
absolutely.
We're all susceptible. I've actually drifted into it and luckily sort of put the brakes on. But it's very, very easy to develop hive mind when you're with a group in a group. That's why I avoid groups and clubs and things like that, because you develop it, and it's very easy. And and this is why I admire people. It's like Survival Steve, who
Yeah,
stood up against the crowd and spoke out. That takes
yeah,
guts, that really does. Um,
absolutely.
but Aunt Sally's just said an interesting one. I was listening to a podcast by Jerry Mowinski today. Yes, he was
Mazinski.
on, Mazinski, and something about demons getting into people through drugs and drink. Yes,
Hmm.
I've got something to say about that. I also believe that dabbling in occult practices opens up the door. And Stephen Truthseeker said, "My family home, when growing up, the house had a portal." Now, Mark Windows once said there was a chap that died on an operating theatre, and he actually died. And as he was going up, he looked down. He passed over a pub, and there was demons queuing up, waiting for people to get drunk. And suddenly they started his heart again, and he thrust back into his body. Now,
This goes into the whole spirit and
mm,
gin. I mean, if you look at alcohol, you've got the whole idea that it's a spirit, right? So you're putting you're altering your brain chemistry, you're altering your brain waves, and you're putting
mm.
yourself into almost a submissive state to a point. And so, are they called spirits because spirits are coming in again? I'm quite open to that particular
But you have good
idea. I
ones as
mean,
well. You've got a
yeah,
guardian angels and that. And now Sue Sparkle, sorry, not Sprinkle,
like the
Sue
name.
Sprinkle, Sparkle, terribly sorry. Can you please explain hive minds more, please? Thanks. Certainly.
Oh,
Hive minds
sure.
is like the wolf pack. And what that is that you look at, like, for example, communist China, where they're all going, oh, no, no, nobody's thinking. Everybody's doing what everybody else is telling them to do. That's a hive mind. You don't think for yourself. You do what somebody tells you. So, a perfect example. Remember, there was a group called Slade with Noddy something or other.
Yeah, they were
Okay,
the quite metal band, weren't they? Were they? Am I on the
sort
right?
of a,
Yeah,
yeah, the 70s. And
yeah.
there's a record, "Come On, Get With It," I think it is. And he was at a concert. And he said, "Right, you lot over there, everybody stand up, everybody clap their hands," and they did. Everybody over there, do this, and they did.
Power of suggestion, right?
Power of suggestion. That is hive minds, because you
To,
don't want to stick out, so you go with the crowd.
uh,
So
just just two.
yeah,
No, sorry, carry on. So I'm reading the comments as you go. There's some really good ones. No, carry on, buddy. Carry
there
on.
was that starts with M. I can't think of his name. That experiment that a scientist did,
Milgram.
and Milgram. Thanks, mate.
Oh,
Thanks a
that's all
million for
right.
that. That's great. And I saw it when I was at college, and it's on YouTube. You can see it. And they got people into a college at random, and they told them that it's an experiment to help people develop a good memory.
Mm.
And what these people off the street didn't know was that it was rigged, and there was an actor there, and what it was, they tossed a coin. One person would ask questions, the other person would answer them, but that was rigged because the person that answered the questions was an actor. And to heighten it up, and what it was is that the questionnaire, the person who asks the questions, has to give a small electric shock to a person who's the other side. They cannot be seen in another room, but they can hear them. And they got to increase the electric shock every time they get a question wrong. But in reality, that wasn't happening because it was an actor. There's no electric shock. But the person who's doing it wasn't to know that. And there was somebody with a white coat with a clipboard standing next to the person who's administering these fake shocks. Saying, "It's okay, please continue with the experiment. Everything's under control. Please continue,
Mhm.
please continue." And 80% of people went through with the experiment. And what was happening, this person on the other side, before he goes to the other side of the room, the next room, he says, "I've had a heart condition. Does that make cause any problems?" Just to heighten the tension up. And the chap in the white coat says, "No, no, it's perfectly okay." And you can hear him going, "Ah! Ah!" And then suddenly it goes silent. And the chap with the white coat says, "Please continue asking the questions." He said, "But the fellow's dead. There's something wrong. Please continue. You're perfectly safe. Please continue." 80% of people went through with the experiment. 80. Just think of that. That's hive mind. They're doing what they're told to do, not thinking.
The other one on top of that is is it a Stanford prison experiment where
Oh, yes. That
so
closed it, didn't
that's
they?
another
It got
example
so
of that.
bad. But they had to
Yeah,
stop it because it got so bad. It got out of control because you had
yeah.
Mr. Correction officers. And these people became nice family men, suddenly became absolute monsters. Vile,
Which we've
sadistic.
seen in wartime scenarios as well. We've seen how, decent, upstanding citizens, once they've been, I'm going to say corrupted for want of a better word, but once they've
Mm,
been exposed to that kind of lifestyle, those kind of behaviours, and it, it becomes normalised. It becomes almost acceptable, and then it's something that they fall into. But what concerns me is that humanity, the whole species, falls into this far too easily. and it's very
That's the
concerning
problem.
because it's not a case of intelligence. It's not a case of how spiritually enlightened you are or anything like this is something that as a species we're all prone to falling into, and it really really does concern me. Just can I ask the chat if my sound's coming through all right, because it's a new laptop. Well, it's not a new laptop, but I'm using a new device that I usually use, just to make sure it's coming through all right. So,
And also, nobody's come up with what I.B.B.G.A stands for yet. But,
shall we give him a hint?
Yes. Shall we say
Flavor of the year, or the last 4 years? Flavor of the last 4 years.
William?
Thank you, Aunt Sally. Thank you. That's
Yes.
good.
Has she got it?
Yeah, that's good. Just because
that's
I can hear
good.
a tiny bit of an echo, but I don't know how
Yeah.
bad it is. But it doesn't seem too bad. But so,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the thing. We're also, I forgot to mention that we're also going out on Soapbox Radio and Windmiller. So I forgot to. Oh, by the way, if William hears about Windmiller as it's wind, he might want to shove a cork in that as well. So he better be a bit quiet about that one, because he.
I've just seen a comment that we need to go through some of these because there's some champion comments on there.
By the way, have I explained it correctly, Sue Sparkle, regarding hive minds? I hope so. There. Stephen Truthseeker says, "I believe I was targeted by a satanic cult as a kid. We all are. It's called the government."
Come on and tell us about that.
It's no laughing matter. It's serious though. But once you've got to cleanse yourself from it and put a barrier up, and that's easier said than done. That really is. It is difficult. Now, Sean Hamer says, "We are not just lost in thought. We also don't realise the intellect is not intelligent, but prideful and ego-driven." Yes.
Fair point. Yeah, it is. But then how do you break away from that? Because I would make the case that ego is an essential part of the physical identity anyway. So I don't have a problem with ego. I've got a problem with people who lack the self-awareness to keep it under control. And I agree. So what you've got there, selfism is killing us. My God, isn't it just? That's the biggie.
Yeah.
That is a biggie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is. So selfism, but with a hive mind. I know it sounds a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because you look at these people that have these tattoos and piercings and things. They say, "Oh, it's unique to me." No, you're following a cult. That's a cult mentality. That is hive mind.
I was going to say, if you want, sorry, mate. If people want to know if they're easily susceptible to a hive mentality, just see how well you get on with other people. Because if you always find that you're the outsider, or that you feel like you're excluded, and you just don't fit in, then that's a sign that you're not really hive mind or hive mentality.
Yeah.
And even when you do fall into it, and you will, you internally you're struggling against it. You've almost got a cognitive dissonance going on, saying, "I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't want to do it. I need to get out of this." And so your brain's constantly fighting with you, trying to say, "Well, how do I come out of this conformity that I'm not comfortable with?" That's when the excuses start. That's when and people pick up on it. But then you become more of a target.
Well, that's it. But this is why I'm not comfortable in groups and things like that, clubs and groups, because I think there is a club mentality. I really do believe that. And this is what I like with a lot of these truth groups. And guess who's... Hey, good evening. There's Mr. Paul coming in. Hello, Paul. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening, Eric. Good evening, Nathan. Hi. Good to meet you, chaps. Hello. Hello again.
We by the way, any ideas? I think you already know what I.B.B.G.A stands for.
No cheating.
Yes, I do. You told me, you blurted it out last week, so I don't want to come across as if I guessed it correctly, because I know. I know.
Shall we say he's a puppet, but he's also a dear bleeder.
Something, isn't he? He's a piece of work.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But
hey,
I think
anyway, Nathan, you sound marvellous tonight. Hey, what's going on? What? Don't you sound lovely? You sound crystal clear. It's great. Music to my ears. I'm a right ponce when it comes to stuff like that. So it's great. I
I
am.
know Chris moans about you for hours. He just sits there. And he's just bloody techno. No,
Bloody sound.
so it's coming through a laptop. I've been wanting to do the podcast through the laptop for ages, but it just hasn't been set up right. So today I thought I want to be comfortable when I do it. I want to sit in my my other room where I can sit back and relax. And so far it seems to be all right, actually. So
Super.
there you go. So thank you very much for the confirmation that it's coming through.
That's the only reason I called in. I didn't call in for any other reason.
All right, then shut off then.
Well, hey mate, please feel free to stay. You're more than welcome. Because I tell you,
I'm teasing you.
Coming up.
Yeah, I've just had a mince
mug.
pie and ice cream. I just had a mince pie out of the oven and an ice cream, and I just had certain things to do, and now I'm free. I've been listening anyway, on and off. So
Very
cool. I
nice,
just
very
thought I'd
nice
rock up.
too. And Sue Sparkle says, yes, thank you. Yes, she does understand. And she said, this might be why I never fit in, as I never go along with the crowd. I always seem to disagree or go my own way. Yeah. I'm the same. And
Troublemaker, then. Is that what you're saying?
Too familiar.
Bloody troublemakers, the lot of you. Got it.
But,
okay, nice.
Now, we got here, Stephen Trusick says, I've done interviews on YouTube about my experiences living in that house and my other paranormal experiences.
Can you provide us? Oh, it's on YouTube, isn't it? Are you in Chris's Telegram group that you can maybe promote a few links across?
Yeah, show a link through on the old Telegram. That'd be okay.
That'd be great. I'd really like to take a listen to that.
Now, that experiment, the Milgram experiment, with that experiment, some people may consider that the DRS would have checked the dodgy heart and pronounced him fit to do the test.
Mm.
Yeah. But I saw it a long time ago, but that really shook it. 80% though, 80 went through. It's just frightening, isn't it, really? It's when the bee goes on your ear, so. Hey, what?
Are we on about Bluetooth? I don't know. I don't know. Is that Bluetooth devices or something? Because that's all part of it.
I don't know. Ask my dentist about Bluetooth. I don't know. Anyway. Urban. Hello, greetings, Urban Fox. We all affect others by the power of thought. Through charismatic people, send out particularly strong thought vibrations. However, what we have seen in recent years goes much further than this. Well, what about uncharismatic people like Keir Starmer? I mean, you can't get someone as charisma. I mean, as I say, he looks as if he's had a personality bypass surgery. And,
you do a fantastic impression.
Sort of like that. It's kind of as if he's just wet his knickers, you know.
Something like that.
It always looks as if he's like I haven't quite got it this week, have I? I got to practice a bit more. So, what about you, Paul? Can you do a Keir Starmer? Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm not really nailed it yet. I don't really want to. It's the sort of thing I don't want to be good at. Do you know what I mean?
Infect the rest of your body.
Yeah, you don't really want to be very good at that. It's not quite what we're looking for. So yeah.
No. But one thing that we was talking earlier today, Nathan, and we disagreed with each other. You see.
Oh, good. I forgot about this. It's a good disagreement, though.
It was a very good disagreement, and I think it's very good for friends to disagree. Politely and nicely. And this is what I like about the show. People can disagree, and we learn more by disagreeing. And well, let's face it, I'm an expert at being wrong, so I've been wrong lots of times. I'm a consultant on being wrong. And that was about.
We could do a competition for that.
That's right. Do you want to start off about government petitions and petitions?
Well, yeah. Do you want to introduce it, and then we'll try and sort of like react it out, if you know what I mean, from our early conversation, because I think it's quite important, this one, actually.
I said I don't really bother with government petitions because I don't believe in bowing down to these bastards, because to me they're like the mafia. So it's more like saying, please, sir, can I have some more? I think the way forward is to just ignore them and just complete civil disobedience, polite civil disobedience. If they want to charge you taxes, then charge you, but they're not going to get anything. They can go and stuff it. And this is the thing. We just got to sort of look at them as they are, as mafia, as criminals, as crooks, and that's it. And Now over to you, Nathan. That's
Well,
your.
you're
That's
being
my
awfully
vote.
polite by calling them criminals and crooks. I think the criminals and crooks would be quite offended by that statement.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the way that went earlier is when you said that, and again, it's a polite disagreement. It's not that I disagree with you in principle. I agree with your points. But the point that I was trying to make is all of these protests and all these petitions that people are doing, even voting, even and hear me out because I know it's an unpopular thing and I
Mm.
get it. But the thing is, yes, right. So the petition we were on about is the one to call a new general election, basically to try and get calm. Yeah, Keir Karma, that's a new one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mister, leader kicked out. It's not going to do the trick, right? But there's
Mm.
almost 3 million signatures on that particular petition, which sends a message across that number one, he's unpopular. Number two, people are not afraid of calling him out as being unpopular. Number three, it's a sign to me, and therefore anybody else who's familiar with a petition, that actually there's a lot of discontent at the minute, right? So that's why I think at the minute, for me, I've signed it, and I've got no regrets, and I'll do it again tomorrow, right? But I get if people don't want to do it, that's fine. I understand. Same with voting, and I think we had Ben Emlyn Jones on during the referendum, and I think both Ben and I said that we were going to vote reform. And then you hear from the other perspective that says, well, voting doesn't work. Yeah, of course it doesn't. It's a democracy. It's not meant to work. You're not meant to win anything that way. It's not, your opinion doesn't matter to these psychopaths. However, I did vote reform and I'd vote again. And the reason I'd vote again is because the other established parties are so corrupt at this point in time that anything that would oust the major parties is better than nothing. And at the minute, I would say that going down that route is something is better than nothing. Do you know what I mean? And so it's
Mm.
not that I'm not saying that voting and petitions and protests work in the way that people want them to work. They don't. They don't. It's proven. So I agree with you on that. But I also think at the minute that we need to make our voices heard. We need to see how many people are prepared to speak their mind. I don't want to say their truth because I don't agree with that. They need to speak their mind. They need to make this known because we are on the precipice now of falling into oblivion. And I've got to stipulate that. And I don't think I'll get any argument from anybody at this point. We are on the precipice of complete and utter annihilation. We lose if we don't take action soon. And I can't get that across strong enough. What the hell are the truthers doing? We know what's going on. Do something about it. I think that's pretty much the earlier conversation revisited in a way. Did I miss anything?
Well, what about now? You be the middle one, Paul. What's your view
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this?
please.
Yeah, please.
It's very close to what Nathan said. I've never voted for a party in my life, and I never will. And the only thing I've ever voted in was the Brexit thing. And I don't vote because I think it's going to affect the people at the top. The reason why I think that petition's good is because of the scale of it. It's very different, right?
It's encouraging.
And what you're doing, you're sending a signal to all the other people that voted that, hey, I'm with you, right? But none of you fall into the trap of thinking that even if there's 3 million of us, they're going to listen, because that's never going to happen. But what it does say is, hey, why don't the 3 million of us get together and form a club and then we can go kick their asses? It's a matter of getting organised, and we don't want to do it. And there's all sorts of reasons why we don't want to do it or why it's currently not happening. It's not got tough enough yet. The thing is that when people lose it all, then they'll lose it. Not until then. And the sad thing is that by the time we get to that point, we'll have so few resources left with which to conduct our righteous, furious anger that we're probably stuffed anyway. So it's a very difficult one to break. People will hang on, and have done historically, to grim death, to what they've got, until it's prized from their hands, and then they go, I've got nothing left except this pickaxe handle, and it's going in your head, mate. And that's when it'll kick off. It does. Everybody goes, no, we're all nice and civilized.
Agree.
You're nice and civilized until civilization's taken from you, and then watch, and it'll be terrifying. And people will be completely out of control because they will have nothing left to control. They won't have any say left in their own lives. But for now, I think that petition's amazing. I'm really, really glad that it's happened. And if there's 3 million that have actually done it, I would suggest that means at least 15 to 30 million that are pissed off, because there's only 1 in 10 people probably even sign it. So it's huge. Yeah. And still we can't get rid of him. The thing is, maybe we don't want to get rid of him. What have they got lined up? Have they got an even retard number 3.0 lined up to come in or something like that? Because this is the problem. You know, you think, well, we'll get rid of these incredibly stupid people. No, we won't, because it's like a mind virus that's infected the next generation of psychopaths. They've got it too. They're going to step into these places, aren't they? We have to. It's very difficult to figure it out. I think what we have to find the courage to act. And as I've been saying recently, as I choke, that action, I think, can be anything. I really do think it can be anything. It can be, in my case, buying raw milk. It seems pathetic, doesn't it? But I don't think it is, because I think anything that we do that strengthens community ties with your next door neighbor is the most important stuff to do. It's the most, forget about all the big fancy stuff and everything like that. What actually happens when push comes to shove is some blokes turn up in a van to take you away. Well, not if 50 of your neighbours turn up around their van and tip it over and look at them and say, if you even put a hand on him, you're all going home with broken legs. Because that's what it's got to come to. It's like we need street defence groups. But I look around at people, they're not scared enough. I don't want them to be scared. We want an enlightened, wise view.
Yes.
We're living in La La Land. Every generation throughout has only ever had a small percentage of people who are like autodidacts, people that self-teach themselves. We're in the minority. It's really, really, it's a lonely place to be. I'll get my violin out in a minute. But it is. It's just historical. I'm not saying anything that's new. It's just true. It doesn't mean we can't win, but we need to, I'm sure I am every day. I'm walking up and down the beach going, come on, you stupid brain. What we got to do? Because when you know a lot as well, I think I know quite a bit, you can see all the pitfalls in the lines of action that you're thinking about. You go, no, we can't do that because they're going to infiltrate it. We can't do that because this. In the end, there's going to be few options left, I suspect. And we're just going to see out our days. But I don't feel bleak about it. I think the other thing that I try to spend time on is formulating arguments or discussion points with people from the general public, as it were, where they may not leave the conversation after 30 seconds. Like if I want to talk about race and the separation of races and the fact that it's damaging to everybody that's been brought here as well as to us, I've got to find a way of getting them to sit in that conversation for more than 30 seconds. Because generally they'll leave it because it's becoming distasteful. You can't say things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm upset. God made all of us. God loves everyone. I'm going, yeah, he does. What he really loves as well is if you obey the law, which is each race to its own place on the earth. That's what he really, that's what the Almighty, you see, because it's like that when you got here. So what is this force that's pushing everybody around and then threatening you that if you don't accept this, you're a racist? These people are the ultimate racists.
I agree with you. And the thing is, I like people. I like cultures. And as I've said last week, suppose you went over to South Africa to see the Zulu culture, and you went there and they said, because it's a multicultural, we're going to have Scottish Highland dancing. You say, what the bleeding hell are going all the way there for? But I can go up the road to Scotland and see it in Scotland. That's the thing, because people are proud of their own, where they come from. It's a natural thing, and it doesn't mean to say that you dislike other people. It means you're friendly with those people. You're welcomed as a guest. I think it makes the world peace by people being proud of their culture. It's when they try
being
to
guests
muddle
is
everything.
fine. I'm completely cool with that. I don't want there to not be guests. I don't want there to be movement of people. I think there should be. But living, we got to define what living means, and that means taking up permanent residence and running your culture in and amongst another one that's the parent culture of the land. That's dangerous. There's not one event ever in history that has ever ended up all happy families. It ends up death and blood and hell every single time because nature won't allow it.
Yeah. Well, look at the fall of empires. The Roman Empire is the biggest example of this happening. The immigration into that empire massively destabilized it, especially in the West. And in the end, they were overrun. They collapsed. So what you're saying is it's. I don't necessarily agree that everyone in their own geographical location. I've got nothing against multiculturalism to a point, but when another culture overrides the existing one, that's when I've got a problem with it. Yes. When it's part of an agenda, when it's part of a let's say, a Kalergi-esque plan, maybe, that's when I've got a problem with it.
I'm going to suggest something to you, though.
Yeah, please.
There's never ever been a multicultural society ever, and you don't live in one now. It doesn't occur. It's a made up word. There's no such thing. Culture
Can you
comes
elaborate
from
on that a little bit? Yeah.
yeah. Culture is race. Race creates culture, nothing else. Race. And races are broken up into tribes. And these tribes, you look in Europe, North and Western Europe, we've got these different tribes. We've got the Scottish tribe and the English and the Germans and the French, but we're all of the same root race. They have developed their own distinctive cultures, which are slight variations on all the other ones. Some not so slight, I suppose, some enough to cause wars, although an outside force has amplified these differences and acted like an Iago in the pit, or like a worm tongue from Lord of the Rings, bending people's minds to bring them to war. But the reason why it has never worked is that it's like race is so important, in my view, because it's like different operating systems. And people, you could liken races to being like at different frequencies on a musical scale. You go, well, look, this reggae music over here in the key of F sharp is great. And this orchestra over, left alone, and this orchestra over here doing the white man's thing, I'm just picking the cliches, in A minor, that's also great. Stick them in the same rehearsal room and see what you hit and listen to it. It's called a cacophony. And that's really what's happening when you put people together. We don't have multiculturalism. What we have is pockets like water and oil with a lot of politeness, which you only find in the West because of our capacity to contain things. You don't find it anywhere else in the world because those people are still much more fully connected to their natural instincts, which we are losing or are being educated out of due to intellectualism, which is generally a complete waste of time and misses the point time and time again. Clever people from universities rock up and make shit bit of difference. It doesn't make any difference what they say, but they sure do like the sound of their voice. So, and if you just allow a little in, you're finished. Mm-hmm. History shows that if you allow a little in, it's over. So if you look at the Byzantine Empire, the longest lasting empire we know of, like 1,300 years, the reason why it succeeded, why it lasted so long, is that aliens, that is anybody outside of the root race, tribe and culture, were forbidden, barred from occupying any positions of power in banking, government, the law and education for 1,300 years. They couldn't get in. And because they couldn't get in, the thing worked. Because, of course, you say, well, that's the ruling class. We'll go, yeah, of course it is. It's their home, you idiot.
I was going to say, if that's their empire, then yeah, okay, fair play.
Okay, but what brought it down? What brought it down was that the Jews... Oh, well, use that word now, so you can brace yourself. Brace yourself, Eric, for getting this video banned. I'm afraid it's just true. Okay, at the time, they effectively opened the gates of Constantinople and let them in. And that was that. They let the Muslims in and they destroyed it. And it was the same process in Spain. The Moors were allowed in because of an agency. I won't use the word again because everybody's just gone. But it's just, I'm just using it. It's in the history books. I'm not picking on it, but I'm just telling you what's in the history books, right? You don't like it?
This can
go
be
read a book.
Confirmed by history, right? So
it can be absolutely confirmed by history. I'm not making stuff up. It's just the truth. So if the surest way to destroy a people, it's what happened to Rome. The surest way to destroy a people is to bring another people into its midst. And the whole process has been, oh, yeah, we love everyone and all that kind of stuff, and you bring them in. And no one's against them as individuals. It's got nothing to do with that. They're not all bad. No, they're not. I mean, I've had this discussion for years. People say, oh, well, I know some of these people, and they're brilliant. I go, yeah, they are. Yeah. And some of them are doctors.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I actually prefer some of them to what we would refer to as the natives. But I agree with the point you're making. Absolutely, I see where you're going with it.
But you preferring them is actually a major part of the problem as well, right? I'll tell you.
But then
no, it is. It just is because I'm going to suggest it is for the simple reason that what people fail to see with all this, let's bring these people in, these qualified people in to boost our economy, which is complete crap, by the way, is that we're stealing the best people from these other races. They're being stolen. In other words, the naturally gifted, intellectual and responsible self-driving individuals from another group out in the Far East, it doesn't matter which one it is, anywhere you like, you're nicking the best of them. In other words, they're natural leaders, the people that would get a hold of them as a people and lift them out of the shit They've all come over here to drive Mercedes and wear wristwatches and think that the sun shines out of their backside. Well, for that reason, these really clever ones that come here, they don't get my respect, ever, because they've quit on their own people. Why would I want people that quit on their own people living with me? Why would I want that? So they go,
Well,
oh, no, I'm
it's more than
contributing
that,
this. They go, yeah, but you're not contributing that. What's actually happened is they haven't been brought in for that reason. That's the argument that we're given. The reason they've been brought in is to ensure that our own people don't have those opportunities to move into to sustain and maintain our culture. So it destroys it, and it's by design, and yet it always comes under the guise of we're all going to love one another. Now, if they're at home and they're doing their thing, they get our respect, because I don't think respect is something that you give. It's not a choice. It's what happens to you when you're in the presence of someone with integrity. Whether you like them as a personality or not has got nothing to do with it. If someone says, I'm going to do this, and they keep doing it, and you see that they do it and they achieve what they're doing, respect occurs. It's like an event. It's not something, oh, you've got to respect me. Well, I can't. You're an arsehole. I can't respect you because you fail at everything and your word's worthless. So, but I'll tell you that I respect you if it makes you feel better. But on a fundamental level of the universe, you don't get respect because nature just says, you got to sort yourself out, mate. I think it's a biggie. I think it's massively complicated. And I think most of our own people have fallen absolutely into this trap that we help people out by letting them to come here and live with us. We don't. We do them and ourselves a colossal disservice by doing that, because you're also denying them the opportunity to meet their own challenges that are theirs. If I was born as an Eskimo, I've got Eskimo challenges. Eskimos don't come down and go, oh, I want to be the mayor of London.
No,
so it's...
Again, I mean, I would find it extraordinarily difficult to disagree with you on that and on any of that, especially, essentially what you're saying is, the best of a nation is basically walking away from something when they could bring immense benefits to their own.
Absolutely. That's what, and then it's a knock-on effect. So now what you've got, you take all the best out of Africa, for example, the Africans have got no one left to lead them. Their economy then gets worse, then they want to come. Yeah. Right? And then, you don't help by people by helping them in your house. You go to their home and sort it out. You got trouble? Right, we'll come to where you live and sort it out. Not you come into my house and eat my bread. What? It's just dumb. But it's by design. It's been designed that way, intentionally, to crush us. That's what it's about. And we'll be in a position very soon where we won't be able to help neither ourselves nor them, and that's also by design. It's a domino effect, so that everybody begins to basically fall away, apart from one or two groups that are going to be left ruling the roost, because they've got everybody like I.B.B.G.A to fight one another and to throttle one another, because people are too stupid to work out that altruism is ultimately pathological altruism. It's a falseness. It's that thing of the road to hell is literally paved with good intentions, and you've got left-wing virtue signalling retards like Bonehead and all these other complete numpties who step in and go, I'm a celebrity, I know what I'm talking about. Even your songs are crap, mate. You can't even sing. Do us a favour. Piss off. Sorry, I'm feeling quite lively tonight about all this. But it really gets my goat when we're lectured at by these complete and utter retards.
I agree with you.
Do you get it? You just look at you goofy twat.
You know what? The thing is, that needed to be said. It needs to be said, and you've said it, and so I just hope that it doesn't affect the channel. But you know what? I don't. Yeah,
you're done for. You're done for, Eric. They'll be knocking on my door. Did you say that?
This way.
Yeah.
The show will go ahead next week.
We're under your influence now.
No, but
I'm not getting an invite ever again, am I, Eric? It's all over now.
Nah, whatever happens, you see, the show goes ahead on the Monday. So if I'm knocked off of YouTube, I'll go ahead on Rumble. It's as simple as that. So there's no problems there. It'll still go ahead.
But there's a really positive point in all of this. I know I'm expressing it at that moment. You've got to hear there's a really positive point. If the goal is and it is for me, is to achieve really peaceable relations amongst as many people on the planet as you can, you'll never get it totally. We are human beings, right? Some bloke always turns up and wants more at the wrong time and is prepared to do all sorts of terrible things to get it. But if it moves in that direction, you would then really we would be getting back to the true natural diversity of the races as the Almighty, through the hand of nature, laid it out. There's a reason why everybody knows where their ancient cultural homelands are, because they are their homes. It's where everybody is the happiest, where they are the most productive, where they vibrate in frequency with their kith and kin who are from the same sort of vibrational field. Races are different. And Marxism starts off by saying race is a social construct. And then you can just throw it all out of the bin because you're dealing with a very divisive idea. And of course, the Christian thing is we love everybody. And of course, that's because Christians don't even understand their own book. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the book. But the churches have been preaching this guff for 200 or 300 years because they've been absorbed as well. That was the first area of attack. Get them to start talking all this sort of Jesus is a hippie and he loves everyone. Sorry, it's not in the book. That he's not. He's not a hippie. He's a guy that whipped bankers. Please never forget that. He whipped bankers and he turned their tables over and he kicked shit out of them. That's the guy I'm interested in.
You were on Sunday.
Sorry, just before you say that, mate.
Sorry,
that's a rebel. That's somebody going against the establishment to do what's right. What you've just described as Jesus there, the epitome that you've just described, is a rebel that's not accepting tyranny, and he's just gonna do what's necessary and get it done. And alive or not, he paid the price, whether that's scripturally or in real life. So sorry, go on, Eric, mate.
You're speaking. I was listening on the radio, on Soapbox Radio, on Sunday, Paul, and you just got to You got to a really interesting bit where you said there was a chap who was a historian. His name was, and it went. I think it's my computer, excuse my language, went tits up as I was listening. So I was going, how can I find it? And it took me about half an hour to try and find, was it the lady called Bo, I think her name was. What's her name?
Yeah, Ria Bo. Yeah, it's a good show on Sundays.
But you were saying something about Christianity, and was it paganism? Like if you could sort of revise that was quite interesting.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it all very? It's all very interesting. It is, though.
And Aunt Sally's just said, I might be taking this out of context. Itchy bum, big gaping arse. I think she's describing Keir Starmer.
Eric, you have an unerring knack for finding comments just like that. And Aunt Sally, I'm shocked.
Lavatorial.
It's frequency, mate.
I can't believe this.
Into it.
Well, actually, it's made Nathan's hair fall out, hasn't it? Because you had long hair at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, not any longer. It was. I've done it. So.
Yeah, the pagan. I think the historian whose name you may have missed is Alan Wilson.
That's the one. Yeah, he was on Rich Planet, wasn't he? He snuffed.
Yeah, he shuffled off this mortal coil a few years ago, but I think there should still be several videos of him on YouTube. Talking about all his research into Christ, into the Welsh, into ancient British history, into the several King Arthurs, into the Holy Grail, into the Ark of the Covenant. He's done some amazing work. It's very, very interesting because the Welsh play a pivotal role in this. I'm quite serious. They do. Because the Welsh language, from people that understand it, they can understand ancient Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian hieroglyphs. The whole thing is interlinked in in a very, very mystical way, or even misty way. That is, that there's a lot of mist between us and the truth on this. So he's done amazing work there. But the pagan thing I was talking about is just, yet again, it's to do with words. It always comes down to this, doesn't it? In the beginning was the word, and then as soon as we had that, there's confusion over the words. But if you call someone a pagan, it's meant to imply that they're godless, right? Pagans, right? They're just out there. They're a bunch of Herberts out on the heath, right? Heathens, okay? But this isn't what it means. This is not how it came about.
Close. Yeah.
When Constantine, it was brought up in Yorkshire, by the way, and his mum was here all her life. Yeah. It's all down to Yorkshire, and I'm sorry, lads. That's why they call it God's own county.
Before you continue, right, so we need to chat about this. So I need a brown rose, right, because if Yorkshire is God's county, which I agree with, actually. It's a beautiful place, and it's about 20 minutes in that direction. However, I'm in Teesside, mate, which makes us God's arsehole, because it's full of shit. And I've got to get...
I don't know. It all depends how you look at it. It could be God's temple of wisdom, if you like it. If it's northern, it could be further up the, if we're using a metaphor of it being a body and everything like that, maybe it's where all the intelligence lies.
Well, we'll give Newcastle the honour for
Aye,
being.
why, aye.
Although I mean, I tell
Newcastle,
you what,
the most impenetrable, when it's thick, that's the most impenetrable accent of them all. Even to me, and I used to go up to Newcastle for New Year's Eve and I had an absolutely brilliant time. This is like 78, 79, 1980, 81, 3 or 4 years. Wow, they were absolutely fantastic. We used to a place called Jesmond. I don't know it now. An area called Jesmond in Newcastle. Anyway, yeah, but Constantine, he's a Yorkshire. He used to like chips and gravy and everything and all that kind of stuff.
Good.
And then his mum said,
"Hey, he was a psycho."
Hey lad, it's time for you to be bloody emperor. Come on. So off they cleared off, He goes, I'll be emperor if you like. Go on. I don't know what he spoke like. He never became a Christian. He was always worshipping something else. Not that I mind. It's just an observation. But when they started forming that church thing, and it became the High Church of Rome, that implies all those sorts of palavers and ceremonies and the High Church. Yeah, as it's called, the High Church is all this sort of sophisticated rigmarole and doctrine and all that kind of stuff, something of which, as a northerner, we're scathingly disinterested. We find it all a little bit airy-fairy, all that nonsense, and too right as well, as far as I'm concerned. I've got no time for that sort of stuff. But they would go around, gathering in the Christians, as it were, but they found the people in the country were rather indifferent to them. In fact, they basically told them where to stick it. So they thought, well, this is no good. The thing is that the people in the countryside were actually practicing Christianity, but they wouldn't have necessarily called it that. In other words, they were living by the laws of Scripture, which are based on justice and human justice given to us so that we behave well with one another and grow.
I don't agree with you on that one. But like, without going off on a tangent, I don't agree that Scripture's laws are necessarily good or righteous. But going off kilter, I was looking into Christmas, Easter, and Halloween. So the whole tradition thing. Where does it come from? What does it link into? And what I've uncovered doing that is the fact that, Christians think that things like Christmas and Easter and Halloween are Christian festivals and Christian feast days. They're not. It's a Roman construct. It was a Roman Christianized. That when they went, basically Christianized the pagan lands, they couldn't get the people to drop the tradition. So regardless as to whether they accepted Christianity, they wanted to keep the old traditions. So what they did is they ended up merging it. So they've merged all these, syncretisms in together, which is why you've got so much solar symbolism brought in by the Roman Church. And again, don't forget the Roman Church is what superseded the Roman Empire, just in a different form, or at least in the West.
I don't disagree with anything you've said. There was a lot of theological horse trading taking place. I mean, I've just got my take on it, and it's not sort of wholly accurate. But the pagan thing is to demean these people. They called them pagans, like they were ignorant country dwellers, but they weren't. There was nothing of that. They just said, we don't want your high rigmarole church, thank you very much. Stick it up your bum. We're not interested. So they became verbally demonized. They were like scum out in the countryside. And I love being scum in the countryside. I think it's great. Some of the finest people in the world you'll find in the countryside scum. In fact, the best, to be quite honest, in my humble opinion, which is not that humble, of course, because I'm from Yorkshire, so we're not humble. We don't do that. I was saying yesterday on Ria's show, there's a thing about Yorkshire. A guy down here told me, he said, Yorkshireman, he said, you can tell a Yorkshireman, but you can't tell him much. And I went, oh yeah, I quite like that.
Do you know what? When you're saying this, there's one person comes to mind above anyone else, and that's John Hamer. You've got to meet him, mate. You and him are so similar in that regard.
We've had a chat, haven't we, Eric? I've had a chat with John, and we'll get on.
He wants.
He owes me fish and chips, Nathan. He owes me fish and chips up at Scarbados, isn't that right, Eric?
That's right. Yes, that's right. And of course,
he'll honour it, but you've got to get your ass up there. I tell you what, there's a nice fish and chip shop, and it's not on the beach. It's hidden away right next to Planet Park.
I know. There's one up in Whitby as well, round back. I mean, basically, the world is measured in the quality of fish and chips, as far as Northerners are concerned. I mean, where I live down south, of course, they're not bad, but it's just. Anyway, let's not talk about fish and chips. I'm getting all hungry.
But also, let's face it, though.
I've not had much today.
As we are in Fockham, you see, we are in a province of Yorkshire. So, for example, I'm in Fockham, which is a province of Yorkshire, even though it's about 400 miles to the north. So you are also in Fockham, but you're actually in a province of Yorkshire. And the same with you, Nathan. You're actually in Yorkshire, even though you're. Well, no, because you're in Fockham. Because Fockham is now a province of Yorkshire.
Yeah, but see, now it sounds like an outreach or some kind of embassy. You've made it into like an embassy that we
That's
just
right, yeah.
plant ourselves in a specific location and say, this is Fockham. And fuck 'em
Even
all.
Patrick in America is actually on a far-reach province of Yorkshire. So he's actually a Yorkshireman.
I'm warming to you even
America.
more, Eric. This is good.
So
make Yorkshire great again. When I went to school, everybody used to moan. It's just absolutely bizarre. Nobody even know why they were moaning about it. We used to moan that York wasn't the capital of England. I'm like 12. I had no basis. But you join a course. Aye. Bloody Southern
York's
puffs.
not even
That's
in
all we
Yorkshire
ever said when
anymore,
we were
is it?
kids.
York is now its own principality, effectively. It's its own little county.
Well, Westminster is
York out of
the
Yorkshire.
capital. It's not the capital; it's the capital.
I like York. It's a nice place, though. It's you leave it.
No, well, would you say that Westminster is the capital, not the capital? It's the capital of the country. Yes, but
It is. It is now.
now I've been. Aunt Sally has said I haven't mentioned yet what I.B.B.G.A means. So I better put everybody out their misery. At the beginning of World War II and during World War II, I wasn't alive then, even though I look as if I'm old enough to be. There was a show called ITMA, and it stood for It's That Man Again, because the radios at that time, every time the news came on, it was about a man that had a moustache, like that. You see, so it's called That Man Again. So I.B.B.G.A, on that sort of level, it's bloody Bill Gates again. So when you've been I.B.B.G.A', that means his foundation has come and sodded things up. So look, he's been I.B.B.G.A', it's bloody Bill Gates again, So that's what it stands for.
Finger in all the pies.
Yes, that's right. And was it Master of Cow Farts? I think now, isn't he? He's an expert on cow farts.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, he never has any doctorates or degrees in these subjects, but he seems to be a qualified. I'm going to watch my words and just shut up at that point, because I think we're all in agreement anyway.
Now, very controversial here. They don't have many decent fish and chips down south. Trust me, that's Stephen Truthseeker.
Stephen, I like you. You're a man after my own heart. Absolutely. They don't. They just don't. It's because the ones, when they serve them up, they leave the skin on the fish.
Yes.
My dad used to go crazy about that. He said, you know why they do that? I go, no. He said, because the fish don't shrink, so you think you're getting a bigger fish. He said, but it's all held together by the skin. Because we're northerners, you see. And apparently we make Scotsmen look generous. Is this the Yorkshire version
of austerity?
That's it. We make an Irish guy came up to me when I first came to Leeds. He said, where are you from? I went, oh, Yorkshire. I just sometimes put it on like that. He goes, aren't you the people that make Scotsmen look generous? I said, are we? I said,
unreserved comment.
Yeah, it's just it's relentless thrift.
Well, it's like the Scotsman that went into the Carlsey, isn't it? And he was in there for hours, and eventually the people are bashing on the doors, and the paramedics came along and pulsed the door open, and there he is with a note pinned to his chest. Here I lie broken hearted, paid a penny and only farted. Sorry.
He's up again. Paul is up on the farts again.
I know. Basically, the conversation has a boomerang trajectory that always comes back to a WC. It's non-stop.
Now it says here, Truth and Truth Seeker says churches often built near or on Druid sites.
Correct.
Sacred groves as well. They used to say that we'll keep it a sacred site, but we're going to bung a church on, so they still get their sacred site, and then Christianity comes and supersedes it. So yeah, pretty much.
But there's a book, I've got it on my shelf. I was talking about it yesterday. I should have brought it into the annex, my other library here. Called St. Paul in Britain by the Reverend 1800 odd. It's a really interesting book. He talks about the arrival of the apostles in Glastonbury in about 37 AD, meeting the Druids. And there was literally no difference between what the Druids were teaching and what the apostles were teaching. None. And so there was literally no resistance. Because I think
Michael Tsarian covers a lot of this as well. Sorry,
it's the same stuff, you see. The thing is, I make a distinction to try and keep my mind clear between organised religious church systems and the law, which is in the Scripture. Yeah, I'm just phrasing it like that. People may disagree with that. But I am suggesting strongly that the Scripture is a book of race, and it's a book of law, and it's a contract between that race and the lawgiver, which in the case of Scripture is Yahweh, the God. Now, you have a lot of white nationalists going, no, the Bible is a Jewish construct, and it's to turn white people into ponces. And they've got an argument, but it falls apart really when you really begin to look at it, because the truth is that as a people, we're actually not that wet. In fact, when we get angry, everybody else gets wiped out, right? That's just it, right? I mean, that's what history shows. So it's not quite like that. But there's definitely been a sucker punch delivered into people, and it got delivered into churches here a long time ago. But the book St. Paul in Britain is fantastic. It's really interesting because when the Roman church started sending over their first evangelists or priests or whatever, the first reports back to Rome were, well, there's not much for us to do here. You go, why? Well, they're already doing it. They've been doing it longer than we have, because it's the same law. It's the same root stuff. Now, there's a guy called Comyns Beaumont, and I was talking about him yesterday. Very funny name. Comyns, Comyns. Beaumont, Beaumont, I think. Okay. And he died about 1950 odd, I think, or 1960. He was a newspaper journalist in London in the 1910s and 20s. Probably, I think he wrote for one of Beaverbrook's papers. So his main income was as a journalist, but his main passion was ancient archaeology and history. And he wrote a series of really astonishing books. One of them is called, and you can all puff your chests out now, everybody. One of them is called Britain, the Key to World History. And he makes a very good argument to suggest why that is the case. And part of his, and I forgot the name of it, I think it's The Great Deception or something afterwards. I think that's the last one that only got published recently. It was a manuscript for years. What is this deception he's talking about? Well, and this is a big one, and I'm not saying I agree with this. This is a huge one to sort of consider. Because Constantine had lived here for a long time, in and around York,
a comment.
All of these stories, the narrative of the Old Testament, none of it took place in what you think is the Middle East. Beaumont suggests, with a lot of backup, that it all took place in these islands, that York became Jerusalem. And why? You go, what's that all about? Well, because when Constantine went back to become emperor, they were having a lot of trouble down there in Palestine. So he took this story and laid it over that region. Of course, nobody else would know. There's only a few priests, and nobody could read and write apart from them anyway. It's a big one to ask. I'm not asking that I even agree. I'm not saying I even agree with it.
Hey, mate, look, you're presenting information. Carry on.
It's a fascinating sort of thing, and there are all sorts of very quirky things that make it add up, that start to give more than making it just a madcap story. For example, there's a port somewhere on the Firth of Forth or somewhere like that called Joffa, Joffa. Where the hell does a name like that come from? Joffa. Yeah. You've got Shetland, right? Shetland Islands, Sethland Islands. You've got the Outer Hebrides, the Outer Hebrides. You've got the Faroe Islands, Faroe, but no, Faroe, Pharoah. You've got Scotland is named after Queen Scotia, who came from the Tuatha De Danann and was a princess of Egypt. You've got the Long Kings of Ireland, which also trace their history back to that, because the tribe of Dan, these are the tribe that became the Vikings, who left their name everywhere because they went up the Danube, the Dardanelles, the Mark of Dan, Denmark, Vikings, all those guys. It's all intertwined. The Scots are the Scythians, and they moved up. The Cimmerians, of which Conan was one, they really did exist as well. They're one of these morphing tribes that came up out of that part of the world. So
yeah,
it's a wonderfully perplexing and complex story. It really is, but it's amazing.
Yeah. No, it is. It's absolutely fascinating. Again, I'm familiar with it, more so because of Tessarion, but he does. Yes. He does quote a lot of Beaumont. So I think it was Stephen Truthseeker said Tessarion quotes him a lot, and he does. He gets a hell of a lot of his material.
Yes, he does. He was the guy that brought him to my attention about 12 or so years ago. I haven't seen much of Michael Tessarion recently, but then I've not been looking. Is he around recently?
He's still doing his podcast. I mean, to be fair, he was one of my favourites. I just haven't come across his stuff recently. but he's still around. He's still doing his podcast. He was on.
I'm going to look him up.
Arcade.
That's good. That's a good reminder there, Nathan. Thank you for that. I did. That's where he's the one that led into that. And you can get these Beaumont documents as PDFs. I was thinking of narrating one. And I started doing it. I thought, it's a bit complicated because you get all these charts and things, and without looking at it graphically, verbally, just an audio book, I don't think it would necessarily work. It's structured slightly differently, but it is an amazing. And this taps into Alan Wilson's field of research as well, which is to do with the Romans leaving here. I mean, when you hear Wilson talk about it, he said, we're all told that they just quietly left. He said they got kicked out. He said they never had it easy here. He said, and they say that they brought us all this stuff. He said, you have to understand that this was really advanced place before they arrived, before they got here, in all sorts of other ways. But I've got to do a bit more research on all that kind of stuff.
Also,
Wilson hates all the academics from Oxford and Cambridge from about the late 1600s. So we're talking the 17th, 18th centuries. He said they all fell in love with the Roman Empire and wrote British history out. So you can't find out what it is, right? And they just sort of made it super as if we're all supposed to get harnessed up to this world empire system out of Rome, which of course is still rolling through.
The Americans have done it. I mean, they're pretty much they've tried to. It's almost like they're the blueprint for the new. Bloody hell! I haven't even been drinking. The blueprint for the new Rome. I mean, if you look at Washington D.C. and it's Romanized. It's Romanesque. All of their temples and
yes, absolutely right. It is the river, like the Potomac, which is now known as the Potomac. On the first maps in 1500 and odd that were drawn, it was called the Tiber.
No way. I didn't
it's
know
called
that.
the Tiber.
Okay,
and the names of all these places are all Roman. On the there's a statue on the top of the Capitol building. It's a Roman goddess. It's right there in front of everybody's face. It's been there all the time. The whole thing of the eagle is Roman.
Yeah.
The American eagle is a Roman thing.
I mean, they've got the fasci, the rods, and the axes and stuff. That's all Roman. Yeah,
absolutely. And I've been recently because I'm really looking at this book, Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy, the guy with the most amazing name. Yeah. If you want, Nathan, I can't recommend the book highly enough, but don't buy a hard copy because it'll set you back 600 quid.
Ooh.
Right? Yeah,
Ouch.
it's rare. They stopped printing it. I've got one. I just went and picked my copy up from my mate the other day, and he was breathing a sigh of relief that his dog hadn't eaten it. Yeah, but you can get it on. It's all about that. What it's about is that it's actually staring everybody in the face, but it's a Catholic sort of construct that's got an over control. And the really fascinating story. There was a guy, the head of the Jesuit order called Lorenzo Ricci, and in 1759. So this is 16 years before the War of Independence in 1776, round about then, he disbanded the Jesuit order. He said, we're not doing it anymore. It's all over. It's finished. Ta-da, we've had enough. We're not going to be the army for the Pope anymore. We're just going to... And he was the Jesuit general. That's what they're called. It was, of course, a dastardly, sneaky ruse. He went undercover in America for years. And there is an apocryphal tale, as told, I think, in Rulers of Evil, of the meeting that was taking place in Philadelphia when they were all umming and ahhing about whether they were actually going to put their testicles on the line or not, because treason was, penalty was death, right? So it's serious stuff. Yeah. And they're in that chamber in Philadelphia and they're umming and ahhing and they're all there. And apparently this old guy gets up, who Saucy implies is Lorenzo Ricci, and he makes this impassioned speech about why they are to do it. It is, of course, to shatter British power, which was the home of the Church of England, which had caused the Reformation, which had split the Catholic Church, which was blah, blah, blah. The rumblings of this have gone on and on and on and on and on. And it moved them all to make the decision to actually oppose, King George III, is it? So... he's a big guy. In England, in Jesuit circles in England, Lorenzo Ricci is known as Lawrence Ritchie, because we anglicise everything. Proper name.
We have to, don't we, right?
Lawrence Ritchie, yeah. And so Saucy's book is about this. It's about the fact that the symbols that you see in state buildings, in cupolas, everywhere, they're telling you exactly what's going on. So they've got the Cleopatra's Needle there, don't they? at Washington. There's one down on the south bank or the north bank of the Thames, somewhere near Westminster. I walked past that a few times. And the other one, the third one, of course, is in Vatican City, right in front of the Pope's flat or wherever he lives, in front of his caravan.
Sundial, isn't it, in front of the Vatican?
Yeah. Yeah.
So something to add into the mix, though, Paul. Why is it that a lot of Cornish villages have got Hebrew names? And there's a theory that the Ark of the Covenant came ashore there, and Wilson believes that it's somewhere in Wales. And
he does. They actually used a metal detector and found it, and he wouldn't tell anybody where it was.
Yeah.
Him and Baron Blackett. Now, Blackett died in mysterious circumstances, as did another worker. And they had just a hell of a time fighting the establishment with these things. I've been looking their books up. They're about 30 quid a pop. There's a publisher in Wales, and I'm going to get hold of some. I've got one, and I've got to get the rest. And I'm going to
Rich Planet. I get it. No, Rich Planet. If you contact richplanet.net, I'm sure he will be able to supply you.
If he's still surviving, how's he dealing with the fallout of all this madness that's fallen upon him?
I don't know. I'd like to find out more from him, because was it £300,000? He's been horrendous.
Yeah,
absolutely horrendous.
Let's be honest, it was a warning to us by teaching him a lesson for speaking the truth, and so that.
Of course, that's how it works. Now watch it, lads. We don't want you thinking things. This is what'll happen to you. See? Yeah, it's always that.
It is.
It's always the same.
I mean, this is fascinating. I mean, to know history is, I think it gives you a step up, because you know how things work. You can see patterns. You can investigate things that most people have overlooked. I mean, the Irish connection. I mean, it's, if nothing else, it's fascinating. So yeah, I'm not so sure about the Ark of the Covenant bit, but I don't know enough about it to argue the point either way. So,
by the way, spot on.
Wilson also
VJB
says
too.
he knows where Jesus' tomb is in Wales.
No, that's interesting.
In fact, you know where it is? Do you know where it is, Eric? Do you know where it is?
It's not under a Kazi, is it?
It's a name so close to your family, and it's in Powys.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, but that's very interesting.
Somewhere.
Well, you never know, I mean, because my grandfather always said that my, we had a link to Powys Castle. But I went there, but I tried the posh wave and all that and speaking down to people, but it didn't work because it was sold out. Yeah, they sold it. Powers sold it in the 1640s, I think it was.
Well, they didn't ask you, did they?
Bloody cheek, innit? Yeah. 'Cause I was walking around there because capability.
We got your permission.
No.
Yeah. Or Lord and Lady Fockham, they never agreed to it. I don't know if you are Lord Fockham, but I don't know.
Lord and Lady Fockham, eh?
Well, no, because we're going to.
Have you met? I don't know if it's Eric or not.
No, but the King and the Queen are what is it? Lord Trevor and Tracy. So Lady Tracy and Trevor. So I think that because you never hear of a king called King Trevor, do we? Have you heard of a King Trevor? And Lady Tracy?
No.
Tracy. No.
There's probably a good reason for it, Eric. I don't know quite what it is, but I'm kind of glad of that. We've never had a King Paul either. Have we ever had a King Nathan? We might have, We might have had a King Nathan.
Yeah, the problem with the name Nathan is it's usually attached to another family, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And no, I'm not.
Oh,
I
you
didn't choose it for that.
You little banker, you.
Hey, mate,
we're all bankers
sometimes
here.
I wish I was one of those, because I'd be a hell of a lot more wealthy than I am now. I'll tell you, I could use it with a bit of a. Anyway, let's not go into that.
We could do with a bit of brass, couldn't we, to sort a few things
a lot
out.
of the stuff at the minute, mate.
Paul, who was on the show the other week, said that the Freemasons seem to know a lot more than we realise.
Actually, can it just before you take the comment off? Paul's show with you, it was on Rumble. Was it Rumble?
Yes, it was.
I think the other week, it was absolutely brilliant, and he did a fantastic job. I don't know whether he's been on with you before, but he was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, spot on, mate.
Yeah, he's coming on again. He doesn't know it yet, though. He'll be dragged on kicking and screaming again. He was on with Survival Steve. That's right. And Paul has said, we have had a Wayne, be careful how I say this, King. Yes. That's little Tommy Tucker from Luton. He went under that name once, didn't he?
Apparently, we had a King Louis in England.
Really?
just after King John. Yeah, apparently there was a 1.5 year invasion by a French king, and they managed to install himself as a king. But he was later removed from the history books because the English didn't want to be ruled by the French. Apparently, I'm only taking this off. Look, right, that's the blame. All them books in the background. It's one of them that said it. So
Really?
but yeah, apparently
We've had Harold. He was the last king, I believe, because he looked up and he got. Well, they said he got an arrow in his eye, but it might have been an eyelash. You know, you just never know because they tell so many lies. But Harold, and he's actually buried in Waltham Abbey, which is up the road to me. So there we go. So, well, it's said to be buried there.
As an offshoot there, if anyone's familiar with the Vikings Valhalla on, I think it's Netflix these days, they switched over. It's all about the lead up to the Battle of 1066. So the new series of Vikings is based around Harald Hardrada, William the Conqueror, or William. Well, we've already wrecked the show now, so William the Bastard. Who became the King of England, and so it's all building up to that. So if anyone's interested in the William the Bastard, I'll say no.
But no, really, when you look at it, I mean, these isles, there is something very different about these isles, very, very different. And I think there's something magic about Cornwall. I don't know what it is about Cornwall, but when I was a kid, we went on holidays there, and I always used to say, I'm going home. I've always looked at it as my home, even though I can't think. Well, yeah, which is weird, really. But Wilson and the other chappie, they did die very mysteriously, and also they had a lot of things weird that went on with them. The history they were finding was uncomfortable for some people, and there was an attack. Was it? I think one of them almost got burnt to death in a fire, didn't they? Which was set off deliberately. So it's quite interesting.
Sorry, I missed that one. Who
Wilson? I can't remember. It was Wilson, the historian Wilson, and the other chap. I can't remember the other chap's name.
I think Alan died naturally. Had a good innings. I think he was in his early 90s by the time he let go. But Baron Blackett, I think, or one of them died in a house fire. Many documents have gone missing, and some of their communications are about them almost fighting a rearguard action against academia over here because of what they were saying. They started to downplay the Roman thing and upplay the British thing, the actual true, because Britain comes from Brith Am, which means covenant man, men of the covenant being the Old Testament, being the Druidic way. They're all interlaced. That's my take on it anyway. I can't sort of delineate it any clearer than that at the moment because I don't know much more than that. But God is in the details, as they say. So more details would help. But I think there's a kind of synergy with all of this. I mean, one of the things that Beaumont said with regards to these events taking place here is that the Dead Sea was off the east coast, up in your neck of the woods, Nathan. That was the Dead Sea. Why? Because when Atlantis went down in this great catastrophe, all the dead bodies from there, which were out in the Atlantic, north and west of here, according to this, they all washed through on a great tidal wave, and the whole sea was just full of dead bodies. That's why it's known as the Dead Sea, the Sea of the Dead. Of course, this could be this. Yeah, it is. This could be Doolaliism. It may well be, but there's a lot of threads that connect.
It's information that you're presenting, so it's worth a look into. If there's that many parallels and syncretisms with it, then it's at least worth looking into without just offhand dismissing.
Yeah, I think Michael Sarian would be a great shorthand cut to a lot of the essentials because, reading books does take time, and I do recommend it, but it's always great when someone that you trust can give you a good sort of précis of the salient points, which is usually 95% of the book. It saves a lot of time because there's a lot of ground to cover. We can't read everything that's ever been printed, which is really rather depressing, actually, when you think about it. But if only I could read 3.5 million books, I could just work it all out. But you just can't. It's not possible. So
that's right.
Mate, I mean, I've got a ton behind me, and I do read them, but not all of them. There's someone there that I've kind of just they're in waiting. It's impossible to modern day timings. You constantly
Constantly
bombarded with
looking
other
at your
stuff,
phone.
Yeah, not me. I hate my
Oh, I
bloody
can't
phone.
read that. I can't read the encyclopedia. I've got to fart around with my messages on Twitter. It really is where we've come to. Really? Yeah. I'm sure it's why everybody wrote better. They wrote much, from the mid 1800s to about 1930s and 40s up until the World War II. The writing's just better. It's just.
Well, music was better as well. I think we had proper musicians. And by the way, I was just trying to plug Nathan's book again. You see,
I know. Thank
very,
you, mate.
very good
Cheers,
author. Here it is. See, there it is.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Very thick, very, very nice. But the thing is that what's your view of ley lines? Nathan, Paul, I'm open-minded. I think there's something in it, although some people say it's a load of bunk, but I don't think so. So, what's your view?
I'll give you the short answer. I do. I actually think it's a legitimate phenomena, if you want to call it that, geomantic lines or whatever you want to call that. Makes sense. I mean, if you look at the Earth, I mean, it's based on a toroidal energy field, just like pretty much anything else, and so it makes sense that you're going to have specific lines of energy flowing through, specific points and cross sections. Yeah, I don't know how it is or what it is, but I find them interesting. So,
Yes.
What was that? I saw my name flash up there. What was that? What have I done?
Says here, how did Nathan know I wear a hooded dressing gown? Laugh out loud.
Well, you should see John Haynes' latest dressing gown. I'm jealous because it's basically one of those silver grey Santa outfits. Basically, he's got the fur and everything. And I was like, I want that. I want your dressing gown. So there you go. I had that out of hood as well. So there you go.
It's very, very good. Yes, it's excellent. Yes, because we're going to have a Christmas special, aren't we? Soon. That's coming up.
I'm ramping up for it. I've got the. I'm trying to put a presentation together for it for a talk, and it's just so much to bang into it. It's mate. Once you start looking at Christmas, Halloween, and Easter, you've unlocked a hell of a shitstorm. There's so much in there. But yeah, we'll have a fun time with that.
Any mince pies going, lads?
I don't mind mince pies.
Yes, we can have it. It's about £6 per mince pie, so it's very cheap,
Yeah.
Now it says I do recommend the hooded dressing gowns, great for winter. So
Do you want to see my hooded dressing gown? It's not a dressing gown; it's a robe. If anyway,
Is it a monk's habit?
Is
it a monk's habit? Is that what it is? Is that what they're called?
I prefer to see it as a Jedi robe, but people say it looks satanic.
You
And
would.
I tell you what. The best thing about it is Halloween night is fantastic. I've had. Oh, this is going to sound horrible. I've had lasses in tears, and I've had lads, grown lads, like old teenage lads, look at me and walk in the opposite direction because when your face is completely blacked out by a mask, and you've got a red satanic looking robe on you, my God, the reactions are fantastic. I love it. Yeah. Anyway,
It's all coming out now, Nathan. Well, I've just been taking notes, right?
Well, let's face it. I'm on the bloody internet. God knows what's going to come out. Half of it probably won't be true, but there you go. It's there, and shit happens.
Tinternet, aye. Is that still around?
The Titternet. It's the Titternet.
Tinternet.
Yes,
Tinternet.
the World Wide Web. Yes.
World Wide what?
Yes. But,
You're bloody joking, aren't you? Sorry, I just went incredibly northern peasant then. So there we go.
Yes, there we go.
All northerners are peasants, aren't we?
Oh, aye, we're proud of
The
it.
southerners, we're all peasants. So
Yeah, no. My other thing about northerners, about Yorkshire folk, is they're very well balanced because they've got a chip on both shoulders. And it's true.
Is it right? I mean, I went up to the Lake District
I
once.
agree with that.
This was years ago, and I said, cod and chips, please. And he said, they all laughed because they only had haddock and chips. You couldn't get cod there. That was about a long time ago.
And for a very good reason, Eric. You can't go around getting cod. It's a sloppy fish. When you get a haddock, it's like this big muscular thing. It's just, it's the best.
And we've got I'm a northerner. Oh, here we go.
I'm a northerner, so is my wife.
DJ B2 for a second there. Nathan likes to scare children. That's an interesting comment, isn't it? That'll get twisted in translation. Yes, I do.
I saw it, Nathan, but I didn't want to bring it up. But now that you have, you've saved me the embarrassment. So that's great. Well done.
Well, I love my own kid, but I'm not a kid person. I can't stand the little bastards. But there you go. That's good. I'm screwed now, aren't I? I've done myself in. Sod it.
Well,
It's
the
all coming
titternet
out.
is when
Right.
what's this? The titternet is when a crochet mallet misses the balls.
Ouch. Well,
Oh,
okay.
yes. A bit like when you stand on a golden rake, isn't it?
There's a Tinder net as well. You could go down that route if you like, and I wouldn't touch it
Yeah.
with a barge pole. But there you go.
I'll tell you something which is spooky, though. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you there, but
No, carry on, mate.
have you ever got these pinhole glasses? Because I did. They're bloody good. Pinhole glasses. You put them on, and they're sort of like dark. You look like an insect, actually. And you wear them, and it really freaks people out because they can't see your eyes. And if they can't see your eyes, that really is freaky. And yes.
2 minutes. While we're on it, hang on.
Okay.
No, just carry on.
Now, Hadji says, get rid of the monk's habit. Buy a jog strap and dressing gown. All Yorkshire men wear them with proud when bowling on a cricket pitch. Oh, really? I like the orange lens glasses. Ah, that's it. Yes. You're wearing them, aren't you, Paul? Orange lens glasses.
I am, yes. The glasses designed to make you sleep better at night time, and I am sleeping better from wearing them. The only problem I've found with them so far is that when I'm working away, they disguise the keys, so my typing has gone really Captain Podgy fingers. I keep on hitting all the wrong keys when I'm typing things up because I can't quite see it right. But then I am.
Good God. There's an apparition.
Oh, Nathan, what an improvement.
Thank you. Finally, someone gives me an honest bloody appraisal. Thank you.
And also, don't tell me that was an impersonation of Keir Starmer next year with a rope round it. Bloody hell, that's spooky.
Your local politician. I don't know which one's scary, the dark face or the mask. It's quite terrifying, actually. There you go.
It is a
anyway,
bit.
Enough of that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, to be fair, Paul, I do tend to scare a lot of people when I just look at them. I've had babies look at me on a bus and they just go, "Ah!" I didn't do nothing. I smiled
You
at it.
rotten thing. You leave those babies alone.
I was in a cafe
don't say that
once. Many years ago, I was in a cafe, you see, and there's this woman sitting behind me. You know those sort of bench seats they have in like wimpy bars and that? And I was sitting there, and she had a baby, and I didn't know this kid had puked up down the back of my jacket. I was with a girlfriend at the time, and I was only a teenager, and we're sitting there, having a wimpy or something, and there he has come out, and she went, as I got up, somebody singled down the back of my jacket. I never got rid of the smell. It's awful smell.
What, you liked it? You liked the smell, you didn't want to get rid of it? Is that what you're
I
saying?
was going to make out it was my new aftershave. Yes,
It's baby powder. See, he's rebranded it by baby powder.
Yes, vomit
No,
by puke
thanks.
up.
I'll skip that.
Now, Dan MC, we've got plenty of Yorkshire people here. Yorkshire born, Yorkshire
Well
bred,
done.
strong in the arm and thick in the head. A Yorkshire man told me that one.
Yeah.
By the way, why is it? This is a question I must ask. It's a very delicate subject, I realise. And I tried to explain this to an American relative of mine. Okay, I've lost contact with them now. And she said, "What is this with the putting the ferret down the trousers? You do that?" I said, "No, they only do that in Yorkshire." She said, "Why do they do it?" And I said, "I don't know." "But you're a Brit, you don't know why they put a ferret down their trousers?" He said, "Why do they put a ferret down their trousers? Is there any reason? I mean, I don't know. Is it some sort of ancient tradition or something?"
Are we being serious?
Well, I think it's only ancient depending on how old the trousers are.
Yes,
Eric.
Well,
I think it was to show manly prowess.
Well, there won't be much left, I wouldn't have thought, after a bleeding ferret's been down there.
And that was the whole idea. That you had
Like
sufficient
the donor.
courage. You had sufficient courage to allow a wee vicious beastie nestling in there amongst the family jewels. And yes. Yeah.
Talking about bravery, I was on YouTube the other day, and I thought,
You know what they used to do? Sorry, while we're still on the ferrets, just remember, what they used to do, right, is that at fairs, they'd drop a ferret down their trousers, and the trousers, of course, would be tied at the bottom. Otherwise, the ferret would drop out and run away.
Right.
And then you'd see all this commotion going on in the trouser with the ferret darting around from leg to leg, I guess. And all this blood would start coming out of the trousers, right? And the guy would just stand there like a bloody rock, not moving. And of course, the crowd would get appalled. They're thinking that ferret's tearing lumps out of his shins and his calves and his muscles. But no, the sneaky bastard used to put meat down there or another creature, and the ferret would rip it to bits. But it was used to scare the children. So I thought it'd be kind of up your street, that, Nathan. You'll have to take that one on board in your act. So you dress in black, drop a ferret down your trousers, blood comes out your legs. No one will come anywhere near you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but equally, I'd probably get arrested for that, to be fair. Do you know I got bitten by a ferret in Whitby last year? Little bastard.
In Whitby?
In Whitby. Well, it's Yorkshire. Is it still Yorkshire, though? I mean, it's classed as Whitby and Scarborough Council, isn't it? But anyway, it's North bloody Yorkshire. But yeah, I got this... as you do, people take their dogs to Whitby, and I just happened to find one that had a ferret in the hand while the bridge was coming back round. And I said, "Can I stroke it?" And he went, "Oh, yeah. He said, "One bite." Lies.
Did it let go? Because what about that interview on
Well,
television?
it didn't hold on, and it wasn't. Yeah. So I've been bitten by a snake as well 2 years ago.
Well, in this country?
Yeah.
In this country?
Yeah, not far from here, actually, near Captain Cook's Monument.
That must have been an adder.
Which is about 20 minutes over there, and yeah.
Really? That must have been an adder.
Where's Captain Cook from? Is it Middlesbrough?
Well, apparently, Martin. So apparently,
is Middlesbrough still North Yorkshire? It is, isn't it?
No, no. So they split the counties. I think.
They kept stealing it off us to get all these people and say they're not Yorkshiremen, bastards. Sorry, excuse me.
To be fair, I agree with the decision. If it was up to me, the whole place would be bloody bulldozed. But
I know, but you're not a Yorkshireman, so it's not up to you. So that's that.
Can I not identify as a Yorkshireman these days? I mean,
it's too much fun playing on stereotypes. It's just the best, isn't it? I think they're so funny. They're great.
Well, but this is where comedy comes from. The fact that you can do that, you can take the piss, and it's funny because it's inappropriate and it's stereotypes. You know, that's what makes it funny and entertaining. And if anyone gets hurt, grow up. It's funny.
What do you think about Yorkshire independence, where you have England and Yorkshire as an independent country?
Yeah, well, I'm all for it. The thing is, England would be a right load of trouble if we went away. So, but yeah. Yeah, I'd like to go back.
You take all the
I'd like to go back,
though?
and we need to build a wall around it, and we need to make it resemble the kind of place I was talking about an hour ago.
Well, Patrick's just
you get my drift.
A snake does not have to be poisonous to bite, Eric. Yeah, but the only biting snake in this country is an adder. That's in this country.
I'll get the pictures. It left a bruise on my leg like that with two piercing bite marks, and then I had two on the back of my foot. And the bruise lasted about 6 months. I was dead proud of it, man. Really? Oh, it was great. So I don't know. I didn't feel ill because people said, "Well, didn't you feel sick or anything?" I said, "No." I said, "I felt absolutely fine." So apparently they're enough to kill a small dog and make a small child, ill. Maybe I do need to get a snake. Anyway, and So I don't whether it was venomous. It just I remember the bruise, and it was.
Well, it must have. No, what it is, adders I think are the only snakes because they are the only biting snakes I think in this country, because the grass snake its jaws are not wide enough I don't think to bite you. You know, but they reckon the worst time. I bet this was in early spring. Because he didn't get out of the way.
September. End of August, September. No, it was definitely September. It was about 2 years ago.
Was it cold? Because if it's cold, they can't get out of the way. That's strange, isn't it?
No, it was near a rock that was surrounded in bushes and trees and stuff, and just down from Captain Cook's Monument. It was just there. And I had a very interesting day that day, actually. Quite interesting.
I bet you did.
Yes. I know it was
bit of a shock.
Let's say that was the least of all the weird shit that happened on that day. There you go.
Really? That is weird.
Yeah.
You know, just coming back to that idea about Yorkshire seceding, if that's the right phrase, why don't we get a movement going for all counties to do that?
What do you mean? Have independence?
Yeah.
Or Hertfordshire
like it used to be 1,000 years ago. I mean, there were 7 kingdoms here, weren't there? Mercia and all this, that, and the other, And they were always warring with one another until Alfred kind of sorted it all out. Then he defeated the Vikings, the Danes. That's amazing as well. After, I don't know what the name of the last battle was that he had with them, but the next day, they were all expecting to be put to death. None of them were put to death. They were invited to a feast, or a couple of days afterwards, after they all had a bath, I guess, because it must have stank a bit. And he introduced them, and they all became Christians under Alfred's rule. He really was great. I mean, really. And his daughter played a massive role in unifying all the laws of the land. Yeah, so...
Was it symbolic being bitten by a snake? Well, old Cleopatra.
What are you trying to suggest here? Like, are we accusing me of something? I've been accused of being a reptile today, by the way.
Really?
Serious?
Oh, I'll join in on that if you like it.
I've been accused. I say accused. I mean, it was kind of. I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, I think somebody literally thinks that I'm a shape-shifting reptilian from the constellation Draco.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Isn't that nice?
That's
That's lovely.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I ain't got a skill like that. Yeah.
My family used to keep Burmese pythons. My dad sold them to a bloke named Monty. That's Patrick.
Hey, you know what? That's a really good segue into something. This was played yesterday, and I want to play it to you. You were talking earlier about all talk and no action.
Yeah.
You're talking a bit earlier about that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me make sure that this is going to work. Yeah, it is. Listen to this.
Item 4, attainment of world supremacy within the next 5 years. Francis, you've been doing some work on this?
Yeah, thank you, Reg. Well, quite frankly, siblings, I think 5 years is optimistic, unless we can smash the Roman Empire within the next 12 months. 12 months? Yeah, 12 months. And let's face it, as empires go, this is the big one. So we got to get up off our asses and stop just talking about it.
Yeah. I agree. It's action that counts, not words, and we need action now. Yeah. You're right. We could sit around here all day talking, passing resolutions, making clever speeches. It's not achieved one Roman soldier.
So let's just stop gabbing on about it. It's completely pointless and it's getting us nowhere.
Right. I agree. This is a complete waste of time.
They've arrested Brian!
What?
They dragged him off! They're going to crucify him!
Right. This calls for immediate discussion.
I just thought I'd throw that in. Ria played it yesterday in the show, and I loved it. I think that kind of sums up part of our condition, don't you?
I think it's perfect, mate.
It's absolutely spot on in
describe the situation. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. Who's Brian?
That's right. Life of Brian, yeah.
I've been the silly one that says, crucifixion? Nah, not today.
I'm Brian, and so is my wife.
Oi, I like this one. Oi, big nose.
Oh, you've done it now.
Oh, Christ.
It's got, I think it's got one of the greatest lines in all of cinema history in it, that film.
Oh.
Yeah.
The bit, it just, every time I hear it, it just knocks me out. I think it's that brilliant. It's where they've been chasing him back and he goes back to his mum's. They're all outside the bedroom window and he comes onto the thing and he's going, "You don't need me." And they're going all together, "We don't need you. You're all individuals. We're all individuals." And that little voice at the back goes, "I'm not."
What about when his mum says...
It's genius.
Oh, the irony.
Just genius.
Yeah, he's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Yeah. It's very funny. Did you ever see, when that film came out, I don't know if you ever saw on Russell Harty show. Russell Harty had John Cleese and Michael Palin on, and he had Malcolm Muggeridge and the Bishop of Southwark on. And the Bishop of Southwark, who probably turned out to be a kiddie fiddler, was the most repellent. I just felt I wanted to puke. He was sat there in all that purple nonce gear that they wear. I just detest all this stuff. I just think it's complete theatrical deception and horseshit. And he had this massive silver crucifix, which he kept toying with all the time whilst he's making these incredibly tedious points. And it was irritating. It was irritating beyond belief. And I just thought, you don't see TV like that anymore. I'll tell you that. You won't see anything like that. That was sort of philosophically very uncomfortable for a lot of people to watch, and it's fine. It was really, really good.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
Malcolm
see, this is
Muggeridge.
why I've got my massive hammer to smash all the crosses with, you see. So.
But I think
Yeah.
Offended a few. I'm joking.
didn't Malcolm Muggeridge have irritable bowel syndrome? Because he used to go,
Oh,
well, yeah.
He's an interesting guy, though, you know. Wasn't he a spy, Muggeridge?
What, did you work for the Royal Mint? Was he a mint spy?
Yeah, he might have been a mint spy. I don't know about that, Eric. No, I think he was pretty high up.
Yeah.
He was pretty high up in
Really?
espionage circle. Yeah. Yeah. Dealing with Russia and things like that.
And this is... hey.
Yeah.
I miss characters like that, though. I miss Malcolm Muggeridge and characters like that. They used to be made in a factory called Oxford and Cambridge, and they come out and they would say these things. And, of course, they are tremendously well-educated and they're literate and they talk like that. And I think it's good to hear people talking in such a precise, accurate way. I think it's excellent. Not that you don't have to agree with him, but the fact that they come out here and say these things and do that. Now we've just got oafs in loafers, bumbling around, effing and blinding every 2 minutes. It's just boring beyond belief. And it's a part of the sort of, you know, I say it as another symptom of the dumbing down of the whole of the culture. It's just got more and more stupid as we go along. I did a recording with someone a little bit earlier today, Kelly, who has a show on Revolution Radio, because I can't make 2 a.m. in the morning for her show. She contacted me out of the blue. Really nice lady, never knew anything about her. But we were just talking for an hour and recording it, and one of the things we got round to was a lady, or I brought it up. There's a lady in America. She died in 2022. Good innings, 91, not under any mysterious circumstances. Called Charlotte Isabite. You ever heard of her?
Yes. Oh, she did it. She was
2022, so not long ago. She wrote a book called The Dumbing Down of America, and it was all about the intentional reduction in education standards, and the same thing, of course, has been applied here. The organizations she labeled as being responsible for it were the Andrew Carnegie Foundation, Carnegie being the Scotsman that set up the steelworks, but then became all philanthropical, i.e. a pain in the arse. And the other one would be the Rockefeller Foundation. Surprise, surprise. And it was to improve education, but of course it just made everybody a complete moron. And the real goal was to actually ready them for world global socialism. Well, I bet we're all shocked to hear that, aren't we?
Oh,
Those
massively.
of us that know a bit.
You know, imagine my surprise. It's one of the Rockefellers. I think it was one of the David Rockefeller, going back a generation. He said he wants a nation of workers and not a nation of thinkers, and that's exactly what they're producing. They're producing a workforce that's able to use technological devices so that they can, you know, keep the economy in motion, whilst paying them a pittance and barely able to survive without, you know, support. And in exchange, they don't think for themselves. They're not thinking outside the box because they've been trained not to. So
it's absolutely right, Nate. I think it's an absolute crucial part of the problem that we face, because let's say that we are seasoned and semi-seasoned individuals here doing some of the talking and the listening and everything, and we are to a degree. We've got a generation coming along that supposedly is going to be managing the affairs of this nation in 30 years' time or 20 years' time or whatever it is. And most of them have just been taught stuff. I mean, that's all it is. What is education is the cramming in of certain sort of instruction sets, obedience, behaviors, and this, that, and the other. I love this word autodidact. And everybody in this conversation's one, and most of the listeners, I would suspect, are self-teachers, because the best teacher you've got is you. You are the best teacher you're ever going to find. You've just got to keep knocking your attitude into shape and catch yourself out. And they don't teach them about questions, do they, in school? And without the question, you're lost. You can't self-educate. If you cannot ask questions in that true spirit of inquiry, like, I really don't know, that's why I'm asking you. Whereas they shame people in class for doing that. Like, don't you know? Of course I don't know. That's why I asked the question.
Isn't the whole point of going to school to learn stuff because you don't bloody know it? You know, that's the whole point. And unfortunately, mate, I'll tell you something else in line with what you're saying there. Even just in truther circles, I am absolutely stunned at the amount of people that don't understand basic science. They don't have a grounded historical education. They don't know how to use. Honestly, it's stunning the amount of.
Well, the title of your book, Nathan's absolutely spot on. But it's also an opportunity. He said, putting on his optimistic glasses, right? It's an opportunity, steady, I think. It is. I think we've got to. Otherwise, we'll just talk ourselves into such a dark space. You'll never get out of it. I mean, because we can always come up with reasons why things can't be done. I think it's fantastic what's happened over the last few years. And the next thing that people need to realize is this is just the start. Whereas, people are thinking, oh, we voted for Trump, so this is going to sort things out. No, you've still got quite a bit to learn. That's not going to sort out anything. It wouldn't have mattered who you voted for. That ain't going to change it. That's not what changes it. What changes it is us, the hobbits, as it were, the peasants, getting together. And as I've mentioned before, the only genuine revolt that I'm aware of in our long history is the Peasants' Revolt of 1381. Nothing. The Civil War wasn't genuine at all. It's completely orchestrated, paid for by Dutch financiers,
for religious reasons and controlling land grabs and stuff like that. So it's
yeah. And I also saw a little clip on QI on YouTube. I don't watch QI. I can't stand it. I detest it. It's such a sort of smug, tiresome thing.
Right, but they get a lot of shit wrong. Well,
they do. But Clarkson was on, and Cromwell came up, and Clarkson was just. I just thought even more of him. He just went, Cromwell is a dreadful man. He said he's a bloody communist. I went, that's right. Absolute twat. And what they never tell you about Cromwell, they've got his bloody statue up there outside of that dung hole called the Houses of Parliament. After they'd buried him, when the king came back, they dug his corpse up and they stuck his skeleton and hung it up for 3 years in the wind. They hated his guts that much. He's just and what he did to the Irish, repulsive. I'm with the Irish on this, just a murderous bastard. I hate him. I do. And people go, no one ever says, hey, where did he get all that money from for the new model army? Now, there's a good question. They never told you that in history. How come he equipped all those blokes with all that modern stuff? Where did the money come from that? It was a guy called Carver Howell. Yeah, a Carver Howell who was originally came from Spain, and he happened to be one of the tribe, and he was known as the great arms dealer and army supplier at that time in the world. Well, I never. That's a surprise, isn't it?
And it's under the agreement that they set up the Bank of England when Cromwell wins. A private bank.
That's right.
Surprise. And also reintroduce usury, which had been outlawed for around 300 years from Edward I, I believe. So
Longshanks.
Longshanks, yes. So that's another little thing. That
yes, DJ Bibu, I agree. I agree with that.
I just realised I saw the comment. I think at the same time that you did there.
Spot on. That's it.
Plus, he banned Christmas. I mean, how nasty do you have to be to ban Christmas? What an absolute horrible,
Yes,
it's all a lie. Everything that he said about religious purity and all that stuff, it was a reason to actually smash it up. That's all it was. Oh, you've got to be even purer than pure. No, we don't.
Well, it's impossible to do that anyway. It goes against human nature, which means it's bound to fail. If you try and do something that's absolutely against your DNA encoding, it's not going to bloody work. You might get a few years at it. It'll collapse.
This is why the globalism thing's headed for the toilet.
Yeah, well...
We just got to weather the storm, everyone.
I think there is one. And what have we got to go through to get to the other end? I agree with you. I think it will end. I don't think it is sustainable long term. But they're going to make a hell of a chaotic racket in the meantime, aren't they? And it's like we are now. Again, I said earlier, we're at the precipice of this, and positivity. It's great, and I like to receive positivity. But I'm just looking at it, thinking, well, nothing's happening. Going back to that Monty Python sketch, that's what's happening. That's what we're dealing with, and I'm looking at it, thinking, we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked. And then people say, you got to get out of the country. No, that's not the out. Don't go out the country. Don't run away from this shit because then you're leaving us in a more vulnerable position. You got to stick around and do what's necessary. I hate this bloody thing. Where's all the real men? But where's all the real warriors? Where's all the real truths? Where's all the real people who've got conviction to do what's right?
Yeah, but we're like a puppy dog that's been kicked down and kicked down and kicked down. And remember, we've had years and years of brainwashing. But I think Keir Starmer is a blessing in disguise.
Me too.
Because
he's exposing.
That's right. Yeah. So in a way, if we would have had some wet fart like we've had before, like the previous ones, what he's doing now, he's shall we say, shooting himself in the foot, metaphorically. Well, digging his own grave.
Even during that period of 2020, if you know what I mean, it was the government that woke a lot of the people up just by acting as they were, right? I mean, it was just like people looking at it thinking, well, it's not rational, it's not logical, and it's sure as hell not they're not dealing with this as a fair, they're doing it again. Starmer's, a gift in disguise if you look at it that way, because he's showing how corrupt and how hell bent on tyranny this system is, and how there's no opposition, not really, and so he's doing that. And people are now starting to question it and think, well, hang on, that's not right. Something's going on. Carry on. Because as soon as you realise something's not wrong, that's when you start digging. Carry on. He's got 5 years of this. And yeah, it's going to be dreadful to live through it, but he's going to do a hell of a job, isn't he? He's going to wake them up.
Well,
hopefully.
When he's got the thick people surrounding him, it's unbelievable how really thick they are. They're frighteningly thick.
Two cheeks.
I think they've been specially selected, Eric, for their banal temperament, their shallow thinking, and the cluelessness and the sheer lack of creativity that they've got in understanding the problems before them. They're just on the political train, and the momentum is to take them all into the abyss, and they're welcome to go. We're not going with them. And I think, there's the other dynamic with the left. Let's just use their terminology. The liberal woke lot.
Keep that one on,
They
Eric.
want to shut people up.
Keep that comment on.
This one?
Sorry, carry on, buddy.
Sorry, leave this comment on by Phil Howard.
Yeah, no, because when Paul's finished, I think we need to address this because it's actually a good point. So before it went off, I just wanted you to. So sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no. I was going to sort of segue into a little thing that kind of touches on that, but the left are into censorship. They don't want you saying things that are what they label as hate speech, i.e., speech that they hate, because it reveals the sheer shallowness of their pathetic, touchy-feely ideology. It's such an immature thing that they've got going. It's based on a whine and a whinge and a rant and oh, poor me. It's the ideology of the helpless, learned idiot. And they want everybody else to become the same. We don't want anybody standing up and being strong and sorting it out because we're all in it together going down the plug hole and you've got to do it. So they seek to shut people up. Whereas I would suggest people like us, just like you had just been addressing, I don't want the left to be shut up at all. They're a gift. Every time they're open their mouth, comedy material comes out, idiocy pours out. They're literally doing our job for us every time they communicate. It's absolutely fantastic. The other thing I was going to mention is in the protocols of the not quite so learned elders of Zion, although reasonably cunning and evil, of that there's no doubt, it talks about this period that they were seeking to build, that they would put before the people leaders that were so utterly useless, using modern parlance, it doesn't say that literally in the document, but that are useless, that the people lose all faith in politics, all of it. And then, and this is to do with that comment you had up, then they are going to step in and they're going to provide the solution. Everybody's going to run to them. This is what they think. Yes, save us from all these idiots. Whereas what we're saying is, no, these people can't save us from all these idiots because they're the ones that put them there intentionally to create this setup. So I think just as maybe the globalists are about to put their hands on the prize, one of us lot, metaphorically speaking, symbolically speaking, is going to dart onto the stage from an alcove they didn't even know existed and just nick it out from under them. Right, last thing. No, you've lost. We've got it now. Finished. It's something like that. There's a massive twist or series of twists and turns, I feel, yet to come. But there's no harm in us acting more fully and with more courage each day. There's no harm in that at all. It's a good thing.
Well, I mean, absolutely spot on, mate. Well said. But I mean, look, this is the courage. Courage isn't something that you store up and use later. Courage is what you do now when it's necessary, and that's I mean, I didn't ever expect me to be in a position like this. I didn't. Yeah, it's a friend of mine. Well, it's Mark, right? Mark Devlin. I wrote him a piece of material for early lockdowns, and he said, "Oh, can I put your name in it?" I went, no, don't put a name in it. I said, "All right, no problem. I'll put you down as anonymous." So that was 4 years ago, and now I'm sat here. Speaking to a live audience and on the internet with yourselves, and it's like, I mean, it's crazy. Our heads are above the parapet now. I mean, we've done it, but I absolutely agree with you. This we've got to be aware of stuff like this because they are providing us with all of our heroes, all of our villains. They're setting everything up. Look, regardless as to what your opinion is of the elites, they're clever bastards, and they are clever bastards, and I'll respect them for that. And this is what we've got to watch out for.
They are, Nathan. Their ace in the hole is that all the people on that side get paid at the end of the month. That's the big difference. On a simple, pragmatic thing, they don't have their mental capacities consumed by the harrying nature of bill payment. And that's why they're you see, we're living under globalism right now. It's now must have got obvious to everybody. They can sort of put up any utility bill they feel at a whim and justify it with complete
ridiculous.
piffle. Yeah. The fact, and then when you look at all of these people in politics that are communicating as if man-made climate change is a problem, you realize you're dealing with just a lot of imbecilic, easily led sheep. It's absolutely bizarre that they would fall for this. But of course, the route to that is the fall of the Berlin Wall, because all those international communists in Russia started crying and weeping and have a temper tantrum because their stupid idea had nowhere to lay nest. So they all moved into the ecology movement in the early 90s. They took over the green movement. And this is also to do with the Club of Rome from 1963, when they were going, well, the way we've distracted them for centuries is by putting them into wars, but that's probably not going to be so easy from now. And so what we'll do is we'll put them in a situation where we're at war with the planet and the environment's more important than they are, and then we'll get them to give up all these things because it's to save the earth, which doesn't need saving except from these arseholes that keep telling us
now.
that there's well, it does from them. The planet itself doesn't. It needs to be saved from these so-called self-appointed problem solvers who keep turning up and going, we'll sort out your problems. You go, no, you don't get it. You are the problem. You are the problem. We want rid of you. So we'll find a way.
Also,
I agree. I think there's going to be a curveball thrown in at some point. Just they might have it planned out, but they can't plan for all eventualities unless this is a simulation and they've got it all programmed. But either way, I think there'll be a curveball, mate. I do.
Well, I'd like to address this one from Jojo Gizmo. Sorry.
Yeah.
We need a leader, but I can't see one out there. Now that is the problem. If you're looking for a leader, look in the mirror, because we've been conditioned to look for a leader. And that's how we're being led down the pole. And this is the problem with the truth groups. They're all looking for a leader. But you notice the most rebellious people, like the Yellow Vests in France, they were farmers. And farmers don't look for leaders because they've got to be responsible people. And we've become irresponsible. And that is the problem. And they're working on that irresponsibility because the Yellow Vests did not have a leader until they got infiltrated. And they were incredibly successful because they didn't have a leader. And that is the problem, because there's two types of leaders. There's the one that inspires and is an excellent leader, but they're normally knocked off their perch by psychopaths and narcissists.
Yeah.
And when they're knocked off their berth, what they do, they stifle creativity. Look at Keir Starmer, stifling creativity. You look in the last 20, 30 years, the most creative time this country had was in the 60s. Very creative. Now look at it. Nothing's creative. Hardly anything's creative. Buildings are drab. There's
the
no
horrible
creativity.
No, don't get me onto buildings.
Yeah.
But before you go into there, so it just going back to the petition, the government released a response, and I haven't got it in front of me. But they raised 5 points. Labour's doing this, Labour's doing this, Labour's doing this, right? All 5 points, with the exception of one, which was just an outright lie, was completely inverted, right? So we are improving the economy. What, by bankrupting the country? That's a good strategy. We are saving the environment. No, you're not. You're chopping trees down left and right and centre, and you're blocking out the sun. And the sun and the trees kind of have a little bit of a relationship going on because they need each other, and we need the trees and we need the sun. So actually, you're destroying the environment. You're hacking away at the planet, whilst you're saying you're doing the opposite. That's a satanic, bloody mindset. We're dealing with actual Satanists here. You know, not devil worshippers. I'm not about that kind of Satanist. I'm on about satanic, service to self, selfish, psychopathic assholes. And they're going to, when are people going to say, hang on a minute, if you're saving the planet, why are you destroying it? Because you can't tend to destroy the thing. Sorry, you can't save the thing while you're destroying it, right? Or am I missing something? I mean, it's bonkers.
But I think we should. Now, this is where comedy comes in. We should go further. I was saying earlier, why not start a campaign to superglue leaves back on trees in autumn? Because it's a terrible thing and just start really ridiculous, stupid things like that to take the piss out of them. You know, because it's terrible. All these trees are dying. Look, we need to stick the leaves back on using super glue. Ever get Bill Gates?
Make the leaves green again.
Yeah, and just do what they do. You see, we come up with ideas, and what they're doing, as you've said in your book, they are flooding us with conspiracies and nonsense.
Yeah.
So we can't see the truth. so that truth means nothing. I'm sort of going a bit Yuri Bezmenov.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. I mean, it's yeah.
And I think we should do the same. We counter-subvert, and the way we counter-subvert is come up with these bloody ridiculous ideas like that, like sticking the gleaves back on with super glue. And I did a fake advert today, but I don't like it. I'm going to do it again, about a starometer, where when you go out, you see what's going on, and you put this headset on, and when you say, look at this bloody shithole, it comes out as, isn't it fantastic to see this creative society, and all that load of lefty talk. And we got to take the mickey out of them. That's really what we need. Just keep on laughing at them because they're funny, and ignoring them at the same time.
Insane. I don't know about you. I mean, they some of the stuff they're coming out with, it's like you take this back 30 years, and school children would look at it and go, "You touched, mate. You're off your head. That's ridiculous." And
they are off
yet
their
now,
head.
Learn.
Well, I think, part of our role here, or this kind of communication space with everybody that's in it, whatever the capacity that they're operating at, and we could all do more, there's no two ways about it, but there is literally no vocal rebuttal in the Houses of Parliament to any of this. None. Now, even in the past, when we were governed as well, in a very sophisticated kind of control system, there was room for the proper pressure valve. You would get certain MPs stand up and go for it. They really lay into them. There's just literally a uniparty state. So they're showing that whilst pretending to be on different sides. Obviously, the competence of them is well, it's just not competent. Very good comment here from Paul. Great name, by the way. Says the buildings and infrastructure in general is to lower our vibration. You get a high vibration when around magnificent structures. You absolutely do. That's why I spend time looking at them online and looking at things, and you go, wow, and I want that at the end of my street, because what it's sending a signal to you that there's nothing that we can't achieve, and that's true. It's still true, except the one thing we've got to achieve is removing the people that are stopping us achieving things. Those people.
Just on what you're saying there. So I'm not a Christian, and again, despite what people may think, I don't hate Christianity, but I'm not a Christian. But I can walk into a Christian church or a cathedral, and sometimes you just walk in there and you go, yeah, that's why they believe, and not because of being passionate. You go and you think, wow, that's impressive, and it's the architecture and the art and the decoration and the masonry, and not the Freemasonry, obviously, although they were involved. But what I mean is, you can get an appreciation for something like that because there was care put into it, care, design, and aesthetics and pride, and not the rainbow pride. Good God, this is ridiculous, right? All of that. It comes from a good building, right? Whether it's a monument, a church, an old church hall, an old town hall. You look at the architecture from history, and you compare it to now, and they say, "Oh, we're learning, we're making, modernizing." No, please don't bloody modernize. You've tried to modernize London; it looks like a shithole. It's horrible. At least it had character before,
I think you're spot on. I mean, the word Christian is an interesting word. I have a definition of it, which is probably not the way you were using it just then.
Probably not. Yeah, go on.
I may have said this before. Christians, you see, I'm going to say that you are a Christian. You're quite happy to rebuff me, right? It's got nothing to do with what you think. In my view, it's got nothing to do with what people think about the organized religions. There are over 2,000 flavors of so-called Christianity, right?
Yeah.
A Christian, the reason why I'm saying you are a Christian is because Christians are a race of people who used to be called Israelites, and you are one. Because if you are a Saxon, that means you descend from Isaac's sons. That's what it means, Saxon. It means sons of Isaac, Isaac's sons, Saxons. All of these races in northwestern Europe are found in this thing, and this is why Henry Ford said this, and this is true. He said, Christians read their Bible wrong because they read it through Jewish spectacles. That what he's saying is the context that people have for the document and which the churches have adopted with this complete nonsense of Judeo-Christianity, a complete oxymoron. It's like having a black-white thing. It's total nonsense.
Absolutely agree with you on
rubbish.
Yep.
Right? So what it is, the way I view it, like a northerner would have worked in an engineering factory, that document. I'm serious. This is the way I approach it, my mindset. This is it's a contract between a race of people and their God, Yahweh. And you've got to know that races. And everybody thinks it's a certain group, and they're completely wrong. And why they're completely wrong on that, they're totally lost. It's as if, and this is what, you're talking about fake awake. I'm talking about truth seekers and all sorts of people. They get all the way down this line and they get to this Christianity thing and the Bible thing. And right at the end, they go completely off to one side and into the abyss. They go, this is a Jewish construct. I'm going, oh my Gideon. It absolutely is not. And until that's understood, it's going to continue to be read wrong, and churches are going to continue to peddle it wrong, because this is a church, what we're doing right now. A church is a gathering of the elders to discuss the affairs of state. There is no separation between church and state, because it's about law. That's a book of law. And if we don't have a framework of law, we're savages again. That's what they want to get us back to. They want to turn us back into savages. Without that framework or a bigger context that's bigger than you, your behavior will devolve down to the level of a bad monkey. And you can see it happening now. That's what's going to happen. We need that framework, and you have to do your duty to it. In other words, you go, what, I'm going to be a slave? No, you're not. But you have to give up me, and you have to start thinking kith and kin, because we are literally nothing without our kith and kin. Nothing at all. And family is the perfect embodiment of it, which is why so many of the laws in those books are about the sustaining and the empowering of families to raise generations of children that are better than their parents in every regard, physically, intellectually, spiritually, consciously, morally, ethically. Yeah. We want our children to be better than us by miles.
Yeah.
And everything they're doing is to stop that process. Wreck them at school, miseducate them, delude them, distract them with crap on the TV. It's a complete war on our entire lawful arrangement with a higher power. Let me put it that way. With the Almighty is a better phrase if people are more comfortable with that. But that document doesn't drift away from that at all. So you see, I just look at, they go, I'm not a Christian. I know what you mean. You say you don't go to an organized church, you don't believe in all that guff. Well, neither do I. I think it's mumbo jumbo, because it's all lies bolted on like decoration, like spin on the top of it to sustain the growth of church congregations. They say, oh, anybody can come along and be a Christian. You can't. The book tells you can't. There's no way. Christ himself says you can't. He doesn't say, I've come for everybody on the planet. There's not one word in it that's even close to that. What he says is, I've come for one specific racial group of people because they've gone out of the law, which is what we're doing right now. And I'm here to put them back online with a contract. And then we turn into people like crusaders. Right? That's in us. And people better not think it isn't, because it's right there. And they're concerned about that flame coming back. And I'm really keen that it comes back. And it's not about warring on other people. It's about defending us. We're the ones that are being warred upon. I mean,
at what point we're backed into a corner. At what point are we going to, start pushing back and just saying, well, it's either me or them? Because now we're at that point. Although, I think in terms of crusaders and that particular avenue, that it turned into extremism and power-hungry psychopaths coming at it from a different angle. I don't know whether it started off that way because, you had your 9, monk warriors that all came from the nobility in France. But in terms of Christianity, so I agree with what you're saying to a point. So I always used to have a discussion with a friend of mine who was what I would call a New Age Christian, right? So he thinks he's a Christian, but he doesn't understand it. He's never read the Bible. He's read one book and he thinks he knows it. He doesn't. And I'd say to him, I'm more Christian than you are. And he'd say, how is that? And I'd say, because I'm an esoteric Christian. In other words, I understand the underlying values, the underlying messages of Christianity, what it's based on, the secret side of it, the traditional, the old traditional side of it, right? And so yeah, from that particular perspective, I've got no problem with that. I don't like organized religion, and I don't give a shit what religion it is. If it's a religion, it's an organized structure of dogma and stricture and protocols, and it's mind control on steroids. It's a way to completely condition a population, and that's why I don't like religion. And, but in terms of the spiritual angle of it, I've got no problem with God. I accept that there is an ultimate creative force in the universe that some may call God. Absolutely bang on. So I don't know if that, if that helps you.
I have a neighbour over the road. He's a builder. He didn't go to church. I would never talk to him about it. Probably couldn't give a crap about it. That's good by me. He's absolutely a Christian. He would reject it if I said that to him. And what I mean by that is he helps everybody around him. It's by their fruits. It's got nothing to do with what some bloke in a pulpit might say. They may say great things, and they have done as well. And it's necessary at times for people to say things like that. But if you just look at normal peasant folk and how they behave, when we are left alone, we behave, the vast majority of people, the English, those are who I know, and the Scots and the Welsh and the people from Ireland who I've met here in these islands, behave really well. And left uninterfered with, we will behave even better. And that's what the other side doesn't want. Left uninterfered with, we will get on with fulfilling the contract which is in the law, which is a magnificent thing. Of course, it makes people worried. What, we're all going to go to church? No. Your life is 24/7 a church. You're gathering together to become more conscious, to keep improving things in line with the law, right? Murder is a bad thing. But the Bible doesn't say to not kill people. That's why murder is when you premeditatedly decide to end another person's life knowingly and plot to do so. Killing people is when you're defending your people from an enemy, and you do that. And when you do that, you do it with everything you've got. And when we did it because they're not allowed, people are not allowed to come and kill us, and we're allowing them to do it. It's soft kill everywhere.
We're inviting them in, mate. We're being polite to them while they're doing it.
Well, you and I aren't, Nathan. You and I didn't invite them in, did we? No. And I don't hate them. No. What I hate is the situation. It's because you put them in the same space, which is why I was saying earlier, there is no such thing as multiculturalism. It doesn't exist. It's a disguise period before the bomb goes off. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, well, it's all going to... No, it's not working. It's never worked. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't mean that I've never made friends with people outside of my race. I am polite and kind to as many people as I can, apart from arseholes. And if they're arsehole towards me, I will say something, unless they're 8'3" and weigh 400 pounds.
Being an arsehole is not exclusive to any particular geographical.
No, I've been one a lot of times, and no doubt I'll have my moments too. We all got it coming. Yeah, the day of the arsehole, but it's true. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that I've got a little rule? My daughter and I, we've got this saying, right? It doesn't matter where you go, who you're with, what time you're there. There's the rule of always at least one. It used to be the law of one, but now it's the law of at least one. And people say, what does that mean? There's always an asshole. This doesn't matter where you go. There's always an asshole. And if there's no assholes, you're the asshole. But it's
there's also the kindness and good people as well. And that is something else that, you can have 99 good people and one arsehole, but one arsehole will stick out because
it's pissing in the well, isn't
it? That's right. Yeah.
You're pissing in the well, you're poisoning the well, and so it only takes one to do that. So Victor Hugo, no, that's interesting. No, I'm vaguely aware of.
What's this?
He wrote that book, didn't he?
Sounds like the movie.
Les Miserables. Les Miserables. Aye, that one.
I don't know
the
where
Day of the Arsehole. That sounds good. I want to see that film.
The Day of the Arsehole
Isn't it? Isn't that the news? Isn't that the news, Eric? Day of the Arsehole every night at 6 o'clock.
Starring Keir Starmer as the Arsehole is coming to you too.
Oh, Stephen Truthseeker, I like you a lot. This is good. This is good. This is what we need.
Money.
Can you do a trailer for it? Listen, we need people to do trailers for fictitious movies that are never going to be made and run them as ad breaks on the radio and in these shows, because we just make it up. If you start talking the reality we want to see, it will happen. That's how it works. Remember, first thing is the word.
Everything
and the words, the programming language, and all the words that we're receiving from the TV are negative, they're miserable, they're doom-laden. Yeah. Why do you think everybody's walking around like a sad sack of potatoes? It's awful.
Well, Chris and I were mentioning this earlier about, all the doom. And my God, I mean, the truth movement is a worse for this, by the way. It's worse than the mainstream. Doom, doom, doom. And the amount of people now that are just walking around depressed. And honestly, it's bringing me down. Of course, they're now going to doom mode, and then I'm bringing other people down. And what are we achieving? We're depressing the life out of each other, which is a stand-down method, right? That's basically, well, I'm so depressed that I can't be bothered anymore, Oh.
Well, I'm going to touch on Eric's thing about humour, right? You're right. And Nathan, you're right. The thing about humour is, I was thinking about this over the weekend as I was hurling pebbles at dogs on the beach as I was walking along. Get away, all that kind of stuff. No, not really. And when you have a laugh, when it takes a hold of you and you just have that momentarily thing, it breaks the spell and the moment, doesn't it?
It does.
It breaks the spell.
Yeah.
And this is why I was thinking, is this why they really don't like us laughing? Because it does. If they're making a big, serious, heavy speech and we're in the audience and someone just bursts out laughing, it's finished. It's shot to pieces. Because what you're doing when you laugh and others join in, because it is genuinely funny, is we're all really getting that ultimately we are arseholes. And this one, the one at the front who thinks he actually knows what's going on, is the biggest arsehole of the lot. Yeah. And it's very funny. And it totally undermines it.
Yeah.
You know,
but I can see that.
Dunning-Kruger.
That's
Sorry,
we
mate.
could do that. That's all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to, but you know,
No, you were talking first, mate.
the arsehole, you know, because I think we need to do more of that. Fake adverts for a laugh.
I enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think we just because I think the truth movement is full of manic depressives. Why is it full of manic depressives? It's because nowadays they don't have to infiltrate groups with physically with people. They can actually do it over the air. And what they've done, like GB News and things like that, they've told people what they want to hear, but then done some nudge routines to nudge them round and get them more and more and more depressed. You look on these so-called truth sites. Oh, it's really bad. Oh, it's terrible. Oh,
it's horrendous now.
No, that is what they want to do. That is ideological subversion. And
you know what the cure is, don't you?
What's that? Switching it off.
To act.
Precisely.
To do something, anything to act. Like when I go and get the raw milk, I'm saying to myself, I'm doing this to help my people. People laugh. I don't care. To me, that's what it means, right?
Yeah.
And if you start looking at your actions, everything that you do, that your focus is, I'm here to provide, to do my duty to my kith and kin. That's when it comes back. It's natural in us. Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean we're against the other people. It means that we have got a major problem. People have got so much time for everybody else. And I'm going, you do realize we're going to get wiped out unless you actually step up to the plate and take responsibility for our situation. You do realize that you're going to have to make some very difficult decisions, don't you? If you want to be a grown-up, do you want to be a grown-up or do you want to be a kid? You do realize that you've got to stop voting and putting your faith and trust in people that hate you whilst pretending to really care for you. You do realise that, don't you? You've got to stop all these completely unconscious behaviours that you think are going to sort it out because they're causing the problem. Act directly for your own people. It's like with charities. You don't give to them because there's some guy pouncing about in a Rolls Royce who says, oh, I can only work for the charity if I get £375,000 a year. Really? But if I see a guy in the street and I've got a tenner or a fiver in my wallet, I give it to him. If I think I can afford it that day, if I need to,
do you know
unless
what
I've got to buy more baked beans
pisses
or
me
whatever.
off about charities, mate, and I agree with you. But what really pisses me off about charities is when you get this advert on telly, or I mean, I don't watch telly unless I'm at someone else's house, right? But then it says, donate £2 a month and enter for £1 million prize draw. Really?
But I like this one. I saw the movie, The Day the Arsehole. It was shit.
I think Phil Howard's winning so far. Comment of the day. I think you've got to send him a bag of Fockham Hall toffees. You've got to.
We definitely have. And we
Free
got
bag of Fockham Hall toffees for that one. That's tops.
Paul has said he's running the country. He's controlling your life. He's in charge of everything. He's the arsehole. He is the arsehole. Yeah, the arsehole. Yeah.
We need to do this, because this could inject that comedy that you're on about.
Yeah. So, we got to do it.
Anybody out there can do this. Seriously. Record 30-second voiceovers. I don't care what you think you sound like. Just do it. Have a go. Keep doing them and they'll get better. Imagine a sort of radio place where every sort of half an hour you get 3 or 4 of these things from people from all over England just saying goofy stuff like this. It's brilliant. Everybody wants to hear that everybody else is willing to make a sound in a public space. Yeah. You go, but I haven't got anything to say. Just say it. We don't care. Just go, blah, 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 blah. Anything will do. I mean it. Anything.
I agree.
You're getting connected with the energy. Yeah.
And let's help the eco movement by suggesting sticking leaves back on trees. Seriously, we do it. We're actually counter-subverting by doing help them. Because that is what subversion is.
If I stick my fingers together with super glue, I've seen it. It's scary. Yeah. How am I going to get them apart?
Well, Spock did that on Star Trek.
But you're doing that for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
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 Oh, I'm scared of super glue. It's a bit too super for me.
Anyway, we've had a fantastic night. We've gone well for 30,
I've hated it.
28 minutes.
That totally shows, yeah.
We normally finish at 10. It's now we've gone on for 2 hours 38 minutes. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
we'll get you up to 3 hours yet. A man's length. Eric, you've got to have a long one, as the actor said to the bishop. Yeah.
The comments here to PMSL. What's that? P's. The comments here tonight. I'm pissing myself laughing. Well, I hope that. What's this by Hachi? My local milking cow. You really. Was it? Arla can't fart anymore. Had a Julie Andrews. A teaspoon of sugar does wonders for the environment. We're turning her into a Zeppelin unplug, a rear end on landing. Laugh out loud.
What are you smoking there, Hachi? Can I have some, mate?
I think it's on the magic mushrooms. But
Hey, someone writes it. Steve, think Paul sounds like Stephen Toast. Have you seen that Toast of London thing? You ever seen it?
no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very
Good
funny.
now.
It's very vulgar. It's very vulgar, and actually pointlessly sexually vulgar at times. Like, it doesn't help the comedy, but there's some really cracking bits. He's a voiceover artist, and he speaks in this really sort of hammed up kind of way. And one of the best sketches is where he's given this script in the studio, and it's just one word. And he's looking at the script. The word is yes. Have you not seen it? You need to go and see it. Just type in Stephen Toast on YouTube and go and look up yes. And he goes, "Is this it? One word?" They go, "Yeah." So he goes, "Yes," like that. And he says it so many times. It's very funny. You have to watch it.
That's
it's not funny
what
as
you
I'm
do.
telling it. Of course, it's rather dull as I'm telling it. But Clem Fandango. Is that you, Clem Fandango?
Well, I tell you, if you get a scammer on the phone that says, "Excuse me, I don't know, your Amazon account has stopped or something," or whatever it is. There's one bloke who just says yes all the time. "Can we have your credit card number, please?" "Yes." "Have you got it?" "Yes." It just doesn't say any other word but yes, until eventually they get pissed off and put the phone down. Anyway, tonight I think that we're having a fantastic time here. Thank you very much, Nathan. Thank you very much, Paul, for coming on. We're going to do this again, definitely. And
I've enjoyed it. I mean, do you know what?
It's one of the best shows.
I think this is a good mix. I mean, you get some great guests, obviously, because we're on here. That was a bit arrogant, wasn't it?
I like you, Nathan. I like you even more now. That's absolutely marvellous. Yes.
See, you bring the Yorkshire, you bring the Yorkshire and the Geordies. Let's not forget them. You're going to have a problem with that, aren't you, Paul? But you know what? You've got some fantastic people in your chat.
Oh, in chat.
No, they're all
The
right.
show is
Don't suck up to him, Nathan. It's disgusting.
Why not? I was going to give him
Grovel.
cockpokes, and he was going to give him cockpokes. No,
Well-
seriously, some of the comments they come out, I know it sounds sycophantic, fuck that, but they come out with some fantastic stuff, and it's on point. So, well done to them as well. So,
thank
there you
you,
go.
everybody in chat.
Eric, before we go,
Really-
we go, can I play a Stephen Toast clip for you?
Certainly. Okay, play a Stephen Toast chip. Here we go.
This is 1 minute and 45 seconds. It's not the yes one, but you need to look it up.
Okay.
I'll just play it to you. This is kind of a taste of it.
It won't get me bang, will it?
Yeah.
Up periscope. Down periscope.
Hi, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango.
What, the work experience, boy?
Yeah, can you hear me, Stephen?
Yeah, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Where's that other prick?
Danny. He's DJing at a music festival this weekend.
Yeah, just to be clear, so these will be heard on every submarine in the Royal Navy.
Yeah, they're just automating and digitizing everything. The commander presses a button and the recording of your voice will be heard
Yeah,
immediately.
I'm not interested in all that. Can we just crack on? Fire the nuclear weapons!
Stephen, that was good. But you think you could give it another try, this time say it in a less alarming way?
Less alarming? I've just given the order to fire the nuclear weapons. I've just unleashed Armageddon.
Yes, but the feeling here is that you could do it in a way which is a little less dramatic. It's just a little bit over the top at the moment. Have fun with it.
Fire the nuclear weapons!
That was a little bit too far the other way, a bit too jolly. Yeah, why don't you just try a few more times?
Fire the nuclear weapons! 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 Yeah.
I like the Scottish one there. That's a good one. Declare oblivion on your enemy. You bananas. Something like that. I don't know. That's good. I've written it down. I'll go into that. I'll have a look.
Yes, I'll have a shufty as well. And we got a nice compliment from J.J. Gizmo.
Oh, bless you.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'd like to hear more of
Appreciate
Nathan's
it.
Scottish accent in voiceovers, guys. So you're going to have to do more of
Hey,
that,
mate,
I
I'll
think.
do
Yeah,
it.
because the Scots will go crazy with you, as they should do, and you'll get a lot of verbal abuse, which will be even funnier. So that would be great. That would be really
Thanks
good.
for that. Yeah. Do you know what, though? I actually like the Scots. But there you go.
Me too. I do too. What was that thing? Was it Billy Connolly that said that thing about the relationship between the English and Scots? If it wasn't him, it was someone else. He said, it goes like this. The English, he said, you English, you quite like us Scots. He said, but we Scots hate you. And I thought it's true. Well, culturally, that's how it comes across.
With the tribes and the Scots and the English and the Welsh.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Sassenachs. But tonight, I mean, I think we're okay. But so if we're not, you see, if I have got a week's ban, just go over to my Telegram channel or Facebook, and you'll find out what's going on. Also, the other thing is, hang on a minute, we've got Miles come on. Miles Fleetwood, here he is. I have joined late. Blimey, that's late. And it seems all has gone mad on your stream. What the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on,
man?
Matt?
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
God, man, you're a bit late. A bit late to the bloody party.
Good God, that's not British, not cricket, is it? You know.
Well, Sean name has come up one there. So what we got?
What you got here? Nukes are last century's brainwash drivel. Yes, I agree. Pseudo muck. What's it? There is no excuse for still believing that they can blow up the world at the push of a button. Yes, I question whether nuclear bombs actually exist, and it sounds a bit weird.
Anyone that would consider building a nuclear bomb, because it only leads one direction, doesn't it? Even if whether they're real or not, they've got a hell of a blast radius, whatever the hell they are. And if we're all flinging them around from left to right, then what's the point? That's it. We've obliterated the planet. Well done, humanity. You fucked up again. Hey.
But apparently, I mean, for example, those nuclear tests they did in Easter Island, or Christmas Island, rather, in the 50s and that, the reason the men went down with terrible, nasty diseases, I think, and I'm not medically trained, but my personal belief is that it was nothing to do with the blast. It was the old that's pumped into them, a cocktail of whatever toxins. I think that's what's done it. So yeah, it's a big Bikini Atoll. That was it. Yes, Christmas Island.
She's not wearing a bikini at all.
Oh no, yes, but
that's the way we like them, though.
But it's called the theatre of war for a reason. That's it. I think it's a big bluff, personally, is to keep the fear up. I really do believe that. And it's something that John Hamer goes into as well, which I think he's got a good point. Because with Hiroshima
here's my
and Nagasaki,
question. So sorry, mate. Here's my question with nukes, right? Whether they're real or not, let's leave that for another. I mean, John goes into that. Whether they're real or not, and I'm still undecided. The places that we've been told about. Cow farts. Yeah,
who needs a nuclear bombs when you got cow farts?
That's the new
more
weapon.
Deadly than a nuclear weapon.
Cow fart. Right. So what happened to radiation poisoning that lasts 1,000 years, though? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Bikini Atoll. There's Nevada, and there's other various places they've detonated nukes, right? That we're told that there's 1,000 years of radiation poisoning. You're all going to die, and yet they're not. There's populations there. There's cities thriving there. Bikini Atoll should have been absolutely blown out of the water, but it's still there. It's got life on it.
Nagasaki and Hiroshima are still there.
So going back to
Chernobyl now has deer and wolves, and the whole ecosystem is rebuilt up there.
Well, haven't they mutated though. I mean, I don't mean mutated like with 7 legs and 3 eyeballs and stuff like that. I mean they've mutated, but it's not been disadvantage. It's not to their disadvantage. They've adapted to the. That's going to piss them off, isn't it? No, he's on about evolution. Yeah, they've adapted and changed though.
I don't believe in evolution. I do believe in adaptation. We do adapt.
Adaptation. Well, I mean,
we just look at humans around the world. We're very different to Oriental people, and that is because the environment people have adapted. Yes. So there we are. Anyway, what's this?
It's all kicking off now, Eric. Now that you're closing it down, it's like at the pub at the end. It's like last orders at the pub.
We're just sat here and lapping it up again.
My dog's been peeing green since he cocked his leg up a 5G pole.
Oh, poor Fido. Bloody hell.
Oh, dear. It's better than up your leg, isn't it? No, I mean, I won't tell the blind man joke, will I? Yeah, all right then. I said it last night. That was dog cocks his leg up the blind man's leg, you see. And the fellow goes over and says, excuse me, mate. He said, do you know your dog's just pissed up your leg? He said, I see. And he gets a lump sugar out and gives it to the dog. He said, well, give him a reward for pissing up your leg. He said, no, it's so I can find his head so I can kick him up the balls.
Well deserved.
Anyway, I think on that note, it's getting a bit late. Thank you very much. This has been an absolute fantastic show. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, if it's been taken down, it'll appear on the BitChute sometime tomorrow. That's all right. So if you're watching this on BitChute, this was on last night, you see. And hang on, as Aunt Sally, she said, what is it? I'm suspicious as to what is the truth about nuclear bombs. I suspect it's more fakery to put fear, because that's it, into the masses, and for various governments to launder vast amounts of money away. Yes, Aunt Sally, you've hit the nail on the head. And what's this say? 5th generation warfare is psychological, biological, and technical. They've been bombing the inside of our heads for years.
Oh, bang on. Absolutely spot on there.
That's it.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
But I still think this one with dogs with beard green. Sorry, it's getting me the giggles.
You might have to send a bag of toffees off to Hatchy for that one as well.
Yes, that's right. And also we've got a competition coming up, haven't we? On the next show, we'll be having a competition. And so
will we?
Thank you. Yes, there's a competition. So we'll stay on the line, and I'll just find the end credits. Here we are. Thank you, everyone in chat for the show. It's pretty brilliant. We're almost 3 hours now. We've been going.
You're going to be veterans soon, mate.
We're veterans, and if YouTube haven't banned me, I'll be here. Well, the next show I'll be. The next show will be a Sunday. We do the Sunday show on Rumble, and of course there's a Monday show next Monday. And I think you do a show, don't you? On Thursday, Paul, don't you?
Hopefully you'll be joining me on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Yes, here on Rumble and on Radio Soapbox. Yeah, and on WBN and all sorts of other little places and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you want to give your channel a shout out just for anybody who's not familiar with it, so that they know where to go?
Yeah, you go to Paul English Live. Paul English Live
on Rumble.
On Rumble, or you can go to paulenglishlive.com and get links to. I'm actually going to send it out over YouTube on Thursday as well. How about that, Eric? I'm going to give it a go. Well, I think, you see, even if you get banned, it's a news story for the next show. Oh, we got kicked off of YouTube. Yeah. But we're not edgy. I don't think tonight's show was, really. I think we generally know where the line is. We can talk up to it and just make sure that there's many, many other things to talk about, and there's many ways to skin a cat, more than one. And I think we're finding good ways to be deft with our language whilst getting the points across, at least. And also the gags are great. And the comments have been fantastic tonight. And everybody in the chat's just brilliant. So it's been a cracking. I've really enjoyed myself tonight, Eric and Nathan. It's been lovely.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's fantastic. And I don't know if you want anything to say. You've said anything, Nathan, before we sign off?
I think we've done enough damage. Just thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Unless we're kicked off, in which case the new channel is Eric Von Essex, The Return.
The Return. Yes.
Return. There you go.
Thank you, everyone, for on the show. And remember, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.